And welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here, appreciate your patience here this morning on Wake Up Call inside these Great Lakes Honda City studios. Great Lakes Honda City, the only place that I have trusted with my vehicles for over a decade. I want to thank everyone that has been a part of the team of Great Lakes Honda City, the former Honda City of Liverpool, and a big time shout out to all the work that I've gotten to do and the bonding and connection with Malik as well as Elijah, Mark, and so on and so forth. Make sure you head over to Great Lakes Honda City today and get the experience that I had, which is finding a vehicle in this crazy time that we're in America, finding a vehicle with great gas mileage and that is also not only sleek, comfortable, and offers a lot like the Honda CRV, which is my favorite, but also just gives you that peace of mind and the protection that they have on these vehicles just give you. You know, I think some people know this, some people don't, but I was arguably saved from being paralyzed for the rest of my life and or dying in an accident where a drunk driver hit me when I was stopped at a red light. And the way that my Honda CRV was built, arguably, is one of the things that potentially saved my life. So Honda means a lot more to me than simply picking a brand. So make sure you head over to Great Lakes Honda City today. And we appreciate you for heading over there. We're up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.mixlr.com. So however you're connected with us all across the world, we thank you for being with us. Appreciate you for being here as always. And we will start the show off today with Dave Paziak, longtime basketball head coach and analyst, and he has been with me all throughout the postseason. We're going to be talking about your New York Knicks. Yesterday, I talked about all 14 professional franchises that are connected to the state of New York, including the New York Knicks, and spoke about who's won a championship, who hasn't won a championship, how long has it been for some of these teams, what runs did they make. And when you're talking about the Knicks, the first in 53 years that they have achieved, but they're third all time, 1970, 1973, and now 2026. So I did have a conversation about the Knicks now, and as we step forward, and Dave and I will continue that conversation in DT and DP, talking all things Knicks and looking forward here in the NBA, and also addressing something that I think is a little too much that is done by the media right after a championship happens. Then at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, Ryan LeBlanc will be joining me, Binghamton Wrestling Head Coach, to speak on the expansion of the program when it comes to facilities in the West Gym, just upping the ante on the practice facility and giving an official home to Binghamton Wrestling that has had much success over these last few years that I've had the opportunity to speak with them. And Ryan will join the show today to tell me about this new chapter and all the positives coming for Binghamton Wrestling. Then we'll round out the show with the ingredients to success, proudly presented by Avicolli's, and that is focusing on today's topic. It's okay to rest. Something that sounds simple, but how many of us actually do it? So with that being said, Mr. Paziak here with me on DT and DP in the Great Lakes Honda City studios. The Knicks are champions, Dave. We said probably around 6 we picked the Knicks, and they did us one better and took it home in San Antonio 4-1. Your thoughts? And well, first and foremost, welcome, and then also your first thoughts coming off the game.
Yep, good to see you again, Dan. So, first thought is, are you going down and doing the show live from the Victory Parade on Thursday?
Well, that's the thing, you know. I mean, I'm supposed to be down. It's ironic because I'm actually supposed to be in that area. I am flying into LaGuardia, so I'm supposed to be right there, like not even a stone's throw from where this parade's going to be, which is really kind of hilarious how that all worked out. So maybe, just maybe, I feel like I should do it from a rooftop where I can be lifted out by a helicopter because, yes, I know and I pray on Thursday it's all celebration, but you know, Dave, that there's a really dumb part of winning a championship where some people decide, my team won, so I'm going to set a car on fire, I'm going to throw this trash can through the storefront, and I'm maybe going to take a television or two. So there's that side of it that I don't like, and I guess there was a little not greatness going on when the Knicks won Game 5, but I haven't heard anything recently, so I'm hoping that it's a peaceful parade and a fun parade. But sometimes, Dave, New York City, it as you know, it kind of feels like its own strange country sometimes.
Yeah, that's a fact. It's too bad after the game. Like, there's a small percentage of nitwits. Most of the people, I'm going to say 95% of the people are out celebrating and just trying to have a good time, enjoy something that hasn't happened in over 50 years. But,
Yeah.
then you got the nitwits, like you said, that use it as an excuse to vandalize, to loot, to fight, to shoot people, all that kind of stuff. So, the victory parade Thursday, it's during the day, and usually it's the nighttime that brings out that kind of element. So, hopefully New York City does it well and does it right, and doesn't spoil what's been a really good thing for the city.
Yeah, no, but it's really funny that you said, "Am I going to do the show from there?" Because not only will I be there, but I'll be flying in so early that I could do the show on time from there. When we start at 9 o'clock, because of the time period that I'm flying in. So now you've kind of put like the bug in the situation where I'm sitting here going, okay, well, mathematically it makes sense. So, could I do something of this nature? I'd have to figure out where I would do it, but it would be kind of interesting if I want to, put myself in that air. I know I'll be down in October for Super Powered Pop covering New York Comic Con, but this would be an interesting thing, Dave. What are your thoughts? Should I, how should I do this? Should I parachute down? Should I stay in the helicopter? How should I cover this thing?
I think right from the back of Mitchell Robinson's truck would be the spot to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
Right
I
in the
will
middle of the
say,
parade.
I will
You and
say,
Danhausen.
yeah, I mean, I will say this. I am very, and I've said this throughout to you and on the show in general, I'm not a Knicks fan. And I don't mean that, disrespectfully to the Knicks fans that are watching and listening. I'm an honest person. I don't bandwagon jump. I'm a Raptor fan, and you're a Sixer fan. But throughout this entire process, as we've discussed it, you've heard from me that I like when the Knicks win. I mean, as long as they're not playing my Raptors, I like when the Knicks are winning. I like that they were advancing. And the farther they got, the more I was like, this is amazing. Like this could be a really great thing. Great for New York, great for the NBA, great for history to maybe bring some people back in that had dipped out from NBA watching. So, I mean, as we got round by round, I got to a certain point before the finals where I'm like, man, they could do this thing. And it'd be really great if they did, because who had them on their bingo card, and how many people were respecting Jalen Brunson and Hart and Towns and so on and so forth. So I felt like, this was kind of the island of misfit toys, as opposed to the expected champions, the teams that people thought were going to be there, like the Thunder and maybe the Celtics. I love when an underdog finds its way, and it's one of the most beautiful things about sports that's representative of life. And so that's why I couldn't help but cheer on the Knicks, even though I'm not a Knicks fan.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Like I'm a little bit, I said I'm kind of agnostic towards the Knicks and the Spurs. Was just looking for a great series, but I think the attention that the Knicks brought to the game it was the most watched finals in close to 30 years, and it only won 5 games. I mean, if that thing had gone 6 or 7, the numbers would really be through the roof. But I think the NBA was up in general this year in terms of popularity and viewership and everything. And I think having the Knicks in the finals kind of turbocharged that, during these last 5 games. So, it was good for the league. I think one of the interesting side stories is I think Wemby came into this series as kind of the next face of the league and somewhat the darling of the league. And I think it was almost like he did the wrestling heel turn, right? He by the end of the series, I think he's the bad guy,
Yeah.
and the Spurs were the bad guys and everything. Part of that because I think people that weren't attached kind of gravitated to the Knicks, and part of it had to do with actually what was going on the court.
Yeah, I mean, I think he got to a point. I mean, it got to a point where if I read it correctly, if he had one more flagrant foul, that he was going to be suspended a game. Like, he was in a situation where I agree with you, and it's funny because I didn't really think about it until you said it, but he did essentially start to become the villain, and I know from playing basketball growing up and being out there up against a bunch of different people, there was certain, and I'm not saying that this is Wembenyama, but there's like a cheat sometimes to defending. And if somebody couldn't defend me, they would they like one kid would keep his elbow out and he had really bony arms, and he would just hit me right in the center of my chest anytime I went forward, and the ref wasn't picking up on any of this, and it was annoying, it was frustrating, because if I'm going to go and shoot the ball, I'm going to get hit in the chest every single time. So I think, I'm not saying that Wembenyama was trying to be nefarious. He just, you almost got to a point of saying, is this a frustration with him? Is it something he thinks he can get away with? Is this his way of cheating something he's not good at? I mean, what do you think, going back and watching Victor Wembanyama, what do you think was the reason why he kind of went the, I don't even want to say went to the next level, but why he did some things. I mean, it happened in the old NBA, and I've had guys tell me all the time, like, I'd get down the court before the ref did so that I could elbow somebody and, get ready to take the shot. So what is it about Wembenyama? Was it a lack of something? Was it just frustration? I mean, I know we're not in his head, but what did you see from him? You're a coach. You have coached players throughout numerous decades. You can kind of read, like, okay, that person can't defend that guy, so this is why he's doing that. I mean, what do you think it was?
I think it's a mix of a bunch of things. This just like, I mean, you're right. We're not in his head, but just from 30,000 feet, I think it's a combination of immaturity, frustration. He was getting beat on and held and grabbed a lot in the series. And, it could be his response to that and hasn't been around long enough to really kind of send the receipt without getting caught sending the receipt, so to speak.
Mhm.
It would have been very interesting because he could have got banged with a flagrant in game 5, and it would have been very interesting had the Spurs won to see if the league would have had the gumption to suspend him in game, like retroactively assess a flagrant and suspend him in game 6. That would have been a very, very interesting thing to watch to see if the league would have actually followed through and done that. But I think he's a guy. He's going to mature as a player, and I think he'll,
Yeah.
he's got a little bit of an edge to him, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. But he's got a lot of immaturity to him. Um, and that kind of showed through on the court. And it showed through a little bit, like in some of the post-game press conferences, a little bit tone deaf and as far as the situation and everything. I know a lot of people made a big deal of him walking off without shaking hands after the game. Most of the Spurs did that. That was kind of reminiscent if you go back to the bad boy Pistons where like Isaiah got the whole start 5 to walk off, against the Celtics before the game was even over. Um, so I mean, I don't know that that was a huge deal, and I don't know what train. I mean, there's been other situations where, um, guys have walked off, but then afterwards, they meet in the hall or meet in the locker room, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
to not take away from celebration. But I just think Wemby. I mean, he's tremendous talent. I think he's on a trajectory to be the face of the league or the next big thing in the league. But he's got some maturing and some growing up to do. So, hopefully he gets that. If Popovich was still the head guy there, I think I'd have high confidence level that he would address that. Mitch Johnson had his own immaturity things or inexperienced things in this series. I think there was no question that Mike Brown won the chess battle with with Mitch Johnson in the finals. So if you hope that if he's the guy that is going to be able to kind of mentor and steer Wemby, but he's new to the first seat himself. So be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, and Victor Wembanyama, he's 22 years old. And, he's been told he's a superstar for how long? At least 2 years, three, maybe more. And, you hope that. Here's my experience and here's my thing. There are people that are extremely talented, and there are people that are extremely talented and full of themselves. I do not gravitate toward the second, and I don't respect it. If you're good, okay, you're great. I mean, you're good, you're great, you're whatever. But I mean, what did Jalen Brunson do during this series? In a post-game press conference, he sat down and took the time to talk about a kid that he met through like Make-A-Wish. I mean, that speaks volumes to me of his character. And you have to win with grace and lose with grace. The shaking hands thing, Dave, and I know you and I have talked about LeBron before. I have tried to give LeBron a chance, and then he does something. And I bring him up because it mirrors what the Spurs did. When LeBron was going up against the Raptors in the year they won the title in 2018-19, he walked out. He didn't just walk off the court. He walked off the court with like 4 minutes left. Head down, left. And I thought to myself, and I watched the game, and I waited for him to come back, and I waited for him to shake hands, and I waited for him to simply show his face. Nothing. I didn't see it. Now, you said sometimes people go in the hallway and whatever, but whether it's Wembanyama or LeBron or whoever, or the bad boy Pistons like you were talking about, you are an example to the world. And there's little boys and little girls that are playing basketball that want to be just like you. And it doesn't just come down to the shots you take or the defense you play. It also comes down to how you celebrate, how you lose, how you act. And the non-shaking of the hands at the end of the game, that's the type of thing that you don't forget. That I never forgot that LeBron acted like a total child. If they had won that game, he'd have his arm around his teammate, laughing, giggling. But no, you lost and you acted like a baby. And that's somebody who's won a title. And when the Spurs go and, sayonara with no handshaking, to me, it's just classless, Dave. And I would say that about any team. I'd say it about my team. If the Raptors lost the NBA Finals and they walked off the floor, I'd be like, I love y'all, but y'all are acting like children. So, I mean, again, you're a coach of many years. I don't know if you've experienced this before. You may have. But I think it's one of the most classless things that you can do on a basketball court or in sports. And I think it shows just how it shows two different people. If I win, I'm good. If I lose, I'm a baby. And if I'm the coach of the San Antonio Spurs, there's some type of something that we're going to be talking about after the game, because there's no way in heck I'd be proud of my team if they walked off the floor like a bunch of kids that didn't get the lollipop they wanted.
Yeah, I got a little bit different take on the post game thing. I think I'm with you as far as like, how you represent yourself and people are watching that.
Yeah.
And like we've had this discussion like in our conference, the college level and everything. I think the kind of expected staged handshake, good game handshake lineup that goes on in college sports and high school sports is one of the most phony, insincere things going. I much prefer like the NBA or the NFL where guys seek out, they seek out guys on the other team that they have a relationship with or respect or whatnot. Like to me, that's a sincere exchange. So like I hate the insincere, phony choreograph stuff. So I would not like to see the NBA move in that direction. But when you kind of distill it down to individual players, again, it comes back to maturity. Who are the Spurs that did shake hands? So you got Cornette, who's won an NBA title, right? And you got Harrison Barnes, who's been around the league.
Yeah.
Those were the two players that kind of stayed out there and exchange pleasantries with some of the Raptors. And I think part of that is, they've got a level of maturity and have achieved some things that the young guys on the Spurs haven't. Part of it is they've been in the league longer, so they got some relationships with with guys on the Knicks. Um, I guess I would probably have more of an issue with guys like Plumlee and Biombo because they've been around the block and they're veterans, and uh, the young guys have to use it as, whether it's Wembanyama or Castle or um, whoever, the young core for the Spurs, they've got to use that as um, internally as a little bit of a learning moment, teaching moment, hopefully growth for when they're in that situation going forward, you know. Um, so like I do like the sincerity of the post-game exchange in the NBA because when it takes place, it's real.
Yeah.
And it's not real in college sports and high school sports most of the time. So that I like, and I think you see the same thing in the NFL.
I know I get the point you're making about, you know, having the handshake line, that it's insincere because, they know they have to do it, but maybe they don't mean it. But do you think, like, having gone through it and having played, organized basketball since I was 7, all the way, through for many years, it also taught me that win, lose, or draw, or however I feel about the team, to respect them. So I feel like I learned from the handshake line that if I didn't have it, maybe I don't learn grace. Maybe I don't learn respect. There's certain things that I think it taught me. So even though it was hey, we have to do this. I mean, there was a time at the end of the game where my job was to hold onto the ball for 20 seconds. And this kid tried to get the ball from me fairly. And then he tried to get the ball from me in a, kind of crazy. He's punching at the ball, hitting at me, grabbing my arm, pulling my arm, and the ref didn't care at all. And I'm looking at the ref at one point and I'm going, "Are you serious right now?" And at the end of the game, because of the way he was and the way he was acting, I took the ball and I said, "Were you looking for something?" And I shoved it into his chest. Now, 5 minutes later, Dave, I have to shake his hand. And my buddy behind me on my team, Ryan Avicolli, I'm going to shout him out here. Ryan was in my ear going, "Danny," he's like, "I want to fight this guy so bad with you. I want to fight him so bad with you." Him and his friend were talking about this. He goes, "You throw the first punch and I'm jumping over you." And I was like, "Ryan, I'm not fighting with anybody. I'm going to shake hands." Like, I said what I needed to say. I put the ball in his chest. Like, I'm happy. I didn't lose the ball. Guy acted like an idiot, whatever. But in that specific moment where that kid acted that way, and then I responded to me very calmly, but was like, "Hey, I think you're looking for something." Yeah, that probably pissed him off. But then we also shook hands at the end of the game, and I felt like that showed, hey, whatever you were feeling in the game, I'm Dan Tortora. I'm not just a basketball player. I know what I was built on. I know what matters to me. I'm going to shake your hand and I'm going to move on with my life. So I think it also teaches you things, especially in a moment of high energy, that like 5 minutes later, him and I could just, shake each other's hands and walk out of the building. And not that we're friends, but also not that we're enemies.
I guess my counter to that is I've seen situations very similar to what you described, and in that post-game handshake line, it leads to a fracas of one sort or another.
Yeah.
So I have for a long time not been a fan of the staged post-game handshake line and just feel like that there's much better ways to show respect to your opponent, where it's sincere and it's not just the fake game to game to game to game.
Let me ask you this, though. In the NBA, these are grown men, or they're supposed to be. Some of them are, some of them questionable. If there was no handshake, right? Like, let's say if the NBA was like, "Hey, at the end of the game, whatever, do your thing. You can walk off like babies or you can shake hands." Do you think it would be 50-50, 70-30? What do you think would, like, if Adam Silver goes, "Hey, at the end of a game, regular season, preseason, the cup in the middle of the season or the NBA finals, whatever it is, like at the end of the game, you decide individually if you want to give two hoots about somebody on the other team. Do you think that that would have an adverse effect of kids watching and going, wow, of the 15 players on both teams, I saw three guys shake hands? Like, do you think that it would be such a minimal amount that it would actually work against, and that kids are sitting there watching it going, well, Jalen Brunson shook hands, but everybody else left?
I I think it would be case by case, game by game, right? Like in the playoffs, you don't see the mass love fest after every game. You know, usually you see it after the deciding game of a series, right? Regular season, you usually see more of an exchange the last time the teams play than you do the first time the teams play, you know? Um, NFL, you see it because they typically, I mean, they may not see the other guy next time, so you see it pretty much every game. You see a lot of um, lingering on the field and guys seeking out other guys on the other team and things like that. Um, but I think that, by and large, I think the guys in the NBA, and I think it's actually a lot different now with free agency and, they all got the same agents and they all, you know, they see each other in the off season and they all do these appearances and endorsements and things like that. So I actually think there's a lot more camaraderie in the NBA now than if you go back to like the 60s, 70s, and 80s and everything where, you know, the Lakers and the Celtics, those guys hated each other, right? Um, where I think there was a lot of like lingering animosity beyond the basketball court. Um, so like I, basically now it is what you said. It's like, there's nobody telling them they have to do this or that or anything after the game.
Yeah.
And, um, guys by and large will show mutual respect to each other. Especially when it's the last time they're going to play for the season, and especially when it's a closeout game in the series.
Yeah. I I'm gonna always lean on the side of if we don't see it, especially from adults, I think it sets a bad example for children. But I'm asking you all the question. It's up on X right now, the former Twitter at CallDT. That's CALLDT. For sports in general, should you have the shake hands line at the end of a game? You can vote yes or no this morning as we continue the conversation. I'm going to step away from the Knicks for a second, Dave, to ask you a question. Apparently, there has been a kind of proposed trade, not necessarily by these teams, but just in conversation, and I want to get your thoughts. Giannis Antetokounmpo, we've heard for years, is he going to stay in Milwaukee? Is he going to leave Milwaukee? Well, let's just for argument's sake have a conversation. Giannis to the Celtics, and then there's Jaylen Brown's being brought up. Like, can they bring in Giannis and keep Jaylen Brown and have Tatum and so on and so forth? So there's been different kind of versions of this proposed trade, but I want to get your thoughts on this. A trade that would involve 2, 3 teams, a lot of players shifting that are maybe not household names, and then the big players of this, not to disrespect anyone, just saying, the two names that are, the championship guys here, Giannis and Jaylen. What is your take on this? Do you think that Giannis is ever going to leave Milwaukee, I guess, is question one. And then if he were to go to the Celtics, what could you see in a hypothetical trade? Because there's a lot of conversation this morning on social media about what this could look like, where Jaylen Brown, could he stay? Would he go? But these are two names that are being brought up right now. And I'm not a rumor mill guy. I'm looking at this and saying, okay, if we're talking proposed trade thoughts, I think it's a good conversation to have.
Yeah, I think there's tons of scenarios out there. About a week ago, people had Giannis going to Minnesota. So, um, when you got he's still a top 5 player in the NBA, right? And I think like he's a guy, he hasn't been out there like demanding a trade or demanding this, that, the other thing. But I think at the same time, there's a little bit of expectation on his part. I think if the Bucks had been able to keep themselves at a contender level, there'd be no talk about about Giannis. Like you don't hear him, oh, he's got to be in New York or LA or any of that kind of stuff. Like that kind of talk has never really been out there about him. I think it's more a situation where his timeline to compete for championship now might not be the same as the Bucks timeline to get back into relevance and championship contention. So, so I think on both ends, there's a willingness to explore, um, to explore a deal. I think historically, to your point, specific to the Celtics, like I would think if Milwaukee's going to trade Giannis, they got to get Brown or Tatum back in return, right? Um, I don't think like historically in the NBA or in most sports, you can go back to Herschel Walker trade in football. In most sports, if you trade a star for a bag of parts, you never get like equal value on a dollar. Um, so I don't think I don't think it's a deal that Milwaukee can make or would make for a bunch of assets. Maybe their on ramp to relevancy is extended way out, and if they get a bunch of prospects and draft picks and whatnot, and involve third teams, and maybe it's a deal that the Bucks would make. But like I would think that either Brown or Tatum would have to be part of a deal um, if they're going to ship Giannis to Boston. And you got the contract issues too. Like I don't know how the numbers match up to um, you know, for that kind of a deal to fall in the cap. There'd have to be some gymnastics done there, I'm sure too.
Well, and I was just looking at the trade order or the draft order here in 2026. There's no benefit to the Bucks if the Celtics were to say, "Hey, take our pick." The Celtics have the 27th pick and the Bucks have a top 10 pick. They're in the lottery. So, I mean, you got Giannis, you got a lottery pick, you still got, more than enough reason to tell him, "Hey, we got some good pieces and some good parts and we're going to go get another one." So, I don't really see the benefit there, like you said, unless there was a Jaylen Brown, a conversation of, we're gonna lose this, but we're gonna gain this and still be effective. I also think, when you're trading away the face of the franchise, Dallas Mavericks, Luka Doncic, I mean, be smart about it. They don't even have the guy they traded for. That was one of the dumbest trades. And Dave, I still sit here today and say, did the Dallas Mavericks owe the Los Angeles Lakers a favor? That's how I feel coming off of that, because it's like you got LeBron, it's his team, but now you got Luka, and eventually it'll be Luka's team, and he'll be the face of the Lakers, and you can build around him. He's young enough, and he's obviously been to an NBA Finals, so you have like a great opportunity for LA. But what the hell did Dallas get? A whole lot of nothing, and a guy that's not, in my opinion, a superstar that's not even there anymore. So, I mean, if I'm Milwaukee, what's my benefit of trading away a top 5 guy in the NBA? I know it's always a conversation, and Giannis is a regurgitated name in people's mouths. But Dave, if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, why? What is your benefit? You're arguably never gonna have a guy like him again. So top 5 for what? What am I gaining if I let go of Giannis? I'd rather go get a piece or two and have a good lottery pick, and let's go after this thing, because I think the East arguably may be, somewhat not wide open, but, as we talked about, there's been different champions in the NBA in these last bunch of years. I don't see the benefit of trading away a top 5 guy like Giannis. I just think it's a conversation people like to have.
Yeah, I think people have this mindset that like automatically every star player wants to be in New York or LA or something, or Boston or Chicago, you know, and especially in the NBA, that hasn't really proven out over time. I mean, there have been a handful of guys that, Shaq wanted to, purposely wanted to be in LA. LeBron, after the second Cleveland run, wanted to be in LA. So I mean, there's a little bit of but I mean, for years, people thought, well, New York's going to be a player for every free agent that went down the line, and they really never were. So I don't think that the allure to be in a major market necessarily, like, I would argue that Miami's more of a destination for a lot of NBA guys in their lifestyle than like New York or Boston would be. So I think you hear that because people think Milwaukee, small market team, they're never going to they're never going to spend deep into this first apron, second apron, all that, and pay a big tax penalty. So for them to get back to a championship level, they've kind of got to they've got to get lucky with the draft a little bit, and they've kind of got to take a little bit of the Knicks approach where maybe um, they get some guys on a discount that are, maybe have potential to be more productive than they have been.
Yeah.
I think that's probably their best route back to relevancy. The question is, like, can they do that during Giannis's peak time? And if not, are they going to move Giannis? What's the optimal time to try to move him where you get the biggest return? Is it now, or is it, butted up against the trade deadline? Can you swing for a big deal then and get more of a return than you have now? And see how the start of the season goes. If they're underwater and somebody's overachieving a little bit and is willing to pay a premium because they think they want to take a swing at winning a championship, maybe that's the time to make a move. So,
Yeah.
certainly one of the interesting things in the off season. And I would put it at 50-50 that he's back in Milwaukee though.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see as it shakes out if there's something that makes sense for both parties. I think a lot of people think about where you would like somebody to go, but you don't think about what the benefit is to the team giving them up. The handshake question's gone out. Apparently, Dave, while he was talking to me, is able to do more than one thing at a time because I think he voted no. So the early voting, Dave, for the handshake line is no, that they don't want to see it have to continue in sports. But I will tell you this also, Jerry Kelly has been watching us over the weeks, and he wants to make sure that that he says hello this morning.
Yeah, I say hello to Jerry too. He's a good man, good friend.
So yeah, I think Dave's either voted or he's paid someone to vote this morning. So let's.
Haven't voted yet, but I might have to.
Yeah,
I'll
you
be
might.
on there. Be like the old days in Chicago. Vote early and vote often.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yeah, I get where you're going. So I want to discuss something that I cannot stand, and I brought it up yesterday on the show. This to me, and I said it in the intro here, something that the media does, the clickbait of it all. And so the Knicks win over the weekend, and the series is over. And then it's not even 24 hours, and you wake up in the morning, and there is this article, and I know when I say it, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. Here are the teams that are better than the Knicks for 2026-27. Here are the teams that are more apt to win a champion. Let the Knicks have it for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 even. I want to get your take, Dave, on this because we see it. It's happened in the past, and it kind of maybe happened in one outlet or maybe within a few days or something like that. Now it's like people can't help themselves in the media. They desperately have to get a story out. And as soon as the season ends, we got to talk about next season. We got to do, and it gets to a point where I think it's just laughable from my point of view. But I wanted to get your take on here's our champion, and then media outlets rushing to go, here's all the people that are better than them. Here's all the teams that are going to make sure they don't win again. And here's next season, 15 minutes after this season ended.
Yeah, that's kind of the news cycle that we live in, unfortunately. I agree with you. Take a minute, celebrate something that hasn't happened in over 50 years in New York. But to the greater audience, I mean there's a short life cycle for stories, and um, and it's not, that's another thing. It's not exclusive to the NBA. I mean, you watch March Madness and the next morning you got next year's preseason top 20, even though everybody's going in the portal and nobody knows what rosters are going to look like.
Yeah.
Same thing in college football, NFL. You'll see, the next day you'll see odds for the championship next year. I mean, there's a little bit of a gambling element in there. So people, want to get their bets down and everything. But at the same time, it's silly and it's foolish, right? Because like we're talking about Giannis, right? We've got the draft coming up, free agency's coming up. There's going to be moves made that nobody's even thinking about right now.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, there's going to be injuries involved. of one way, shape, or form. So it's really, I mean, it gives people something to talk about and gives sports writers and sportscasters something to talk about or write about. But it's really, I mean, at this point, like a couple days after the finals end,
Yeah.
it's really silly conversation.
No, to me, I think, and again, it is. It's just clickbait to me. I see it and I'm like, well, I guess someone can read that and enjoy it, but it's not going to be me. I want to celebrate these Knicks. It's been 53 years. And, you look at the Yankees, their last one was 2009. You look at the Islanders, won four in a row in the NHL, but they haven't won anything since, 83. And the Rangers have won four, but their last one, I believe, was 1994. In the MLS, New York City FC has never won. Red Bull New York has never won. So, I mean, your closest champions to the Knicks right now in the state of New York are connected to New York. Gotham City FC in the NWSL for professional women's soccer won in 2023 and 2025. And then you have the New York Liberty that won in 2024. Those are so as far as franchises that are in men's sports, it's been a minute for the Giants, 2012. It's been forever for the Jets. The Bills have never won. The Sabres have never won. And I mentioned the other franchises here. The Brooklyn Nets have never won. So, I mean, this has been a woman's world in the state of New York. And now the Knicks finally, open this doorway. So, to go back into that a little bit, just what this means for New York, for the boroughs, because it's been a long time since they've seen any of their men's sports hoist a trophy. I mean, 2009 for the Yankees might as well be 1960 to some fans.
Yeah, as a long-suffering Buffalo Bills fan, I can identify with, with the Knicks fans for sure. But I think, and this is with all due respect to the Women's Professional Soccer League and WNBA, like those are very much niche audiences compared to the Knicks, the Giants, the Yankees, the Rangers. Those are the top tier teams in New York. And then you got like, then you got the little, the little brothers, the Nets and the Islanders and um, the Brooklyn Nets, New York Jets, Mets, those teams. So I think New York fans and I think New York City is more connected to the Knicks than perhaps any other professional sports team in the city. And I think part of that is it's been such a long struggle, and part of that is, Kenny Smith on the post game hit right on the head. Said in New York City, kids grow up, they're playing basketball, right?
Yeah.
There's a court in every neighborhood, a court in every block. They're not playing football or baseball or hockey. Like that's not accessible to every kid in the city the same way basketball is.
Yeah.
And so I think, because of that, New York City has a special relationship with basketball, which in turn is a special relationship with the Knicks. And for the longest time, New York City was was like the mecca of basketball, and the best players came out of New York. And it was generally accepted that like New York high school basketball in the playgrounds in New York was probably the best basketball played in the world. People in the DMV and a couple other places might quarrel with you, but I mean that's kind of smoothed out a little bit now with all the prep schools and kids leaving high schools early and all that kind of thing. But and with some of the money and some of the grassroots programs. But basketball in New York City, I mean, New York City is a basketball town, and I think that relationship with the Knicks, and then compounded by the fact that it's been so long, I think that's what led to the feelings and the sentiments and you got Spike Lee has dropped. By the way, I respect Spike Lee. Like he pays for his tickets, unlike Stiller and Taylor Swift and all these other people that want to be seen courtside. But there, I think that has, that's the thing that captivated New York City and captivated a lot of people outside of New York City too, and brought them in, drew them into the Knicks, and made this finals as interesting to to the sporting landscape as it was.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Taylor Swift is a fan of teams that play for championships, but or maybe she has a concert coming up. I'm not sure. I Yeah, I mean, that it's cool to see people courtside, Dave. I mean, it's cool to see it. Like if Jim Carrey was there, I would have been like, "Oh, that's awesome." But I would also say to these people, "Where have you been?" One, because Spike Lee is there when there's 15 people in the garden and eating a hot dog by himself and everybody's mad at the team, right? So I mean, Spike Lee, he's an extension of the Knicks. He's a member of the team essentially, in my opinion. But there's other people that you show up when you win, and I don't have a place for that. I'm a Raptor fan when they're 12 and whatever, and I'm a Raptor fan when they're hoisting the trophy because that's my team. I chose them, and I've been with them since their logo came out in 1994. Your team is your team. And that's why I even preface when I'm like, man, I'm so happy for the Knicks. And then I'm like, I'm not a Knicks fan. Please don't think I'm bandwagon jumping. I'm just proud of the team, and I'm happy for them. But there are going to be a lot of bandwagon jumpers. And apparently, the night they won, there were some people jumping on top of cars, buses, and trying to hitch a ride on a fire truck. So I ask you this question, Dave. James Dolan. Some people considered him the worst owner in all of sports because of the Knicks' long history of not winning. What are your thoughts on James Dolan? Did they change after this season? And what should people know about the Dolan factor? Because some people were maybe not the biggest fan. Maybe they are now. How have you seen him over the years?
Well, I think Nolan for a long time, people thought he's a clown owner. Um, and I think even to today, I think even with all the celebration and the good feelings about the Knicks, I think people love the Knicks, but there's a large percentage of that fan base doesn't love James Dolan. Um, and I don't think like I'm watching Silver give Dolan the trophy after the game. I think that was painful for Adam Silver because Dolan has been a thorn in the side of the league and in the ownership. Trying to protect his turf in terms of media rights and some of the financial advantages that he has being in New York. Um, so the people are probably off his back a little bit because they did win it, but like historically, he's been a huge meddlesome owner, and he's got thin skin. We talk about the celebrity realm and the famous players and everything. Like that's what I mean. It was nice to see Oakley at the game in San Antonio the night because he won't set foot in the Garden anymore because of he criticized Dolan, so Dolan told him he's banned. And then when Dolan lifted the ban, Oakley wouldn't come back until Dolan apologizes, which probably is never going to happen. So,
Yeah.
so I don't think the euphoric feelings around the Knicks universally extend to Dolan. I do think, they got Leon Rose and World Wide West and whatnot, which are two really like I think that probably is Dolan's best move is putting those guys in charge of the basketball operations. Because Rose came out of the agent world, and then World Wide West, he's like been a guy who's operated in the shadows, and now all of a sudden he's executive vice president of the New York Knicks. But he's a guy who has relationships with all players all through the league. So I think putting in place those two guys really turned set the table and allowed them to kind of construct a team the way they did and put them in a championship level. If you're going to give Dolan credit for anything, I would say it'd be hiring those guys and then kind of stepping back from being as meddlesome as he had been a lot of his tenure as owner and letting them do the job and letting Mike Brown coach the team and letting Rose and Wesley run the basketball side of things.
Yeah, it's always interesting to me that, you win a championship and the fans are like, yeah, going nuts and they're cheering on, their team. And in this case, the Knicks. And then somebody's like Dolan and they're like, F that guy. Like there's just like, they're doing the same thing simultaneously. They're so excited and then still hateful. I feel like that happens with the Yankees too. So when it comes, I can't tell you how many times people were telling me last year about, last whatever couple of years of, they should fire Aaron Boone. And if they don't fire Aaron Boone and this, that, and the third. So it's always interesting how they look at management, even if a team is winning or playing for a title or wins a title. Dave, final note here. Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby, my Raptor, we'll always say that. Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart are all under contract at least for next season. There is no team option or player option with any of the players that I just mentioned here. And then we have Mitchell Robinson, Alvarado. I will make this note. Jose Alvarado does have a player option. Mitchell Robinson is a free agent. And then we have Shamet, that he is also a free agent this upcoming season. So the majority of the main players of the Knicks are all under contract. And really, the next biggest name is Mitchell Robinson. Your thoughts on the Knicks moving forward, where they're at? They've won a championship now, and now almost their entire team that has led that way when it comes to point scoring and the overall success of this team, not to take away from anybody else, but the main players of this squad are all under contract except for Mitchell Robinson and Shamet. And then, obviously, if what they're going to do with Alvarado, what he chooses to do with his player option. But I would say they're sitting pretty. I wanted to get your thoughts, knowing that you never know when you're going to win a championship, but luckily for them, they have a lot of their big players under contract.
Yeah, I think they're certainly in the short run they're in a really good spot because they have most of their core locked up. I think the biggest decision they got to make is what are they going to do with Mitchell Robinson, and is he willing to take a hometown discount to stay? Because if he goes on the open market, he's probably going to come in more than the Knicks are willing to pay and in a position to pay. Because right now the Knicks aren't in they're not in the luxury tax at all, first apron or second apron. If they re-sign Shamet, like he was on a minimum contract this year, so his up till a couple of games in the finals, he had a pretty good postseason, so he's probably going to command a little bit more than that in the open market.
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is there are guys like him out there, so I think they'll probably try to re-sign him at a low figure, and if they can't, there are other guys out there that they'll be able to get to fill his role. Same thing with Alvarado. The big short-term decision is what are they going to do with Robinson, and then the kind of medium to longer term. I mean, Brunson's been playing at a discount, and he signed a couple other guys, for a little bit less than market value in order to be able to put this team together. I think Brunson is going to want to be paid.
Yeah.
He's under contract for a while, and I suspect that the Knicks will be reluctant to extend him this early on, that far out. And by the time his contract's up, like that, he's kind of going to be past the age where guys typically get like max contracts. It's when he comes due, they're going to have to pay him because he's not a guy that, like, after winning the championship, I mean, the city will burn down Madison Square Garden if they said they're not going to pay him. The more immediate decision is going to be, Towns has got a player option another year out, which you can almost guarantee he's going to decline because he's going to be worth more on the open market. So, they're going to have to, to keep Towns, they're going to have to max him or come close to maxing him. And if they max him, then they're going to have to make some decisions on some other guys in the roster. So it'd be interesting to see play out. I think, there's certainly, with the core coming back that they have, I would expect them to be right in the mix again next year. They caught lightning in a bottle a little bit in that, on the one hand, they kind of fit the mold of an NBA champion in that they've gone through the struggle these last 3 or 4 seasons and climbed another rung of the ladder every year.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, they're only the third team in the history of the NBA that's won a championship with no players on their roster getting any first team All NBA votes. And they also, like, they started 5 guys, none of whom got drafted by the team. So the way they put the team together is a little bit unconventional. So, we'll see what kind of staying power, and other people are going to get better. I mean, San Antonio is going to keep getting better. OKC is going to keep getting better. The Lakers they'll rebound with Luka healthy. And, in the East, Boston will have a full, they'll have a healthy Tatum and Brown. Indiana's a team, they get Halliburton back and make a move. They'll go from the basement back up to contention right away. Detroit's not going anywhere. They need more depth, but they proved against Boston they can compete. So like other people are going to get better. So the Knicks will probably be looking to make incremental moves to stay at that level.
Yeah.
But having your whole core back the way they do their whole starting five is certainly a good place to start.
Well, and your Sixers got to figure out if the Joel Embiid projects, because I know they got him for a couple more years, but do they want to keep going down this road of if he's healthy, great. If he's not, what are we going to do? So we got to talk about your Sixers in the offseason and your thoughts about that. We'll have plenty to say with Dave Pasiak. The draft is coming up, and obviously offseason moves will be coming up as well. The Knicks have won their first title in 53 years, and when it comes to men's sports connected to the state of New York, the first of those teams in a long time when we speak about the Rangers, the Yankees, the Jets, the Mets, and so on and so forth. The Knicks now the torchbearer for all of the boroughs currently, and congratulations to them. Dave, as always, it's my pleasure to have you on the show, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
All right, great to talk with you as always, Dan. We'll chat soon.
Sounds good. Take care. That coming from Dave Pasiak here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We'll take a quick step aside. For those of you waiting for Ryan LeBlanc, he's going to be joining me in just a moment, but not before you hear from Game Point Sports Complex, the indoor facility for basketball and more, volleyball, floor hockey, field hockey, cheerleading. That is something we've needed for a long time in Central New York, and now we have it, and perfect to hear the owner, Jim Dispenza, speak about it right after we talk about basketball itself.
This is Jim Dispenza, owner of Game Point Sports Complex. You hear the same story across any sport that kids play and any sport that adults play. There's never enough places to play. That was definitely true with volleyball, definitely true with basketball. It could be cheerleading, it could be field hockey, which is what we're seeing now. Every sport has a lack of places to play, and I think Syracuse in particular is a place where it's really bad. Despite the fact that we've got a lot of athletic talent around here, we just seem to have not enough places for people to play, and they're going to different places. They're going to Rochester, they're going to Buffalo, they're going all different places because we don't have a place here, and I felt like that should change. This was a long project from planning all the way through execution to opening the doors. A lot of work went into it, obviously, a lot of money, a lot of resources, and the dream always was kids being in the gym, having a good time. And I've always felt like sports is the most unfiltered joy that you can observe with people that people can experience, because it is fun, it is a sense of accomplishment, it's all of that wrapped into one thing. And so watching kids going up and down the court with big smiles on their faces has been just amazing experience. I'm looking forward to years to come of that same thing. We've taken the time to invest in multiple sports, and then what we're finding is the mere fact that we have a large, clean, well-lit space has opened a lot more doors for us beyond basketball, volleyball, pickleball. Now we're having some interest from cheerleading. We've got girls field hockey coming in, and then also there's quite a bit of room for spectators. We've got bleachers, we've got benches, we've got a concession lounge where people can get food and drink. We're going to have multiple sports going at the same time, using every square inch of this place for what it was conceived for, which is basically people to come in, have a good time in the sport that they prefer. We manage each situation differently. Everybody has different ability to afford different things. Some are bringing 10, 15 people, some are just 2 people. I've had a lot of situations where it's a father shooting around with his son, it's a mother playing pickleball with her daughter or with her son, and in those situations come up and we work with people, and that's allowed us to have groups from 2 people up to 30 people and have some flexible pricing behind it. We're an organization that is here to work with the community any way we can, and I guess part of it is just making sure that we have the flexibility to put together a plan that makes sense regardless of the size of your group. So in order to book time, the best option is to go to our website, gamepointsports-syr.com. You can click from there and sign up for events, sign up for your own particular training, sign up for birthday parties, all of that.
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. here inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. We appreciate you being with us where sports meets life. Of course, Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. They're open for sales and service Monday through Saturday and online all the time at greatlakeshondacity.com. I am picture in picture with Mr. Ryan LeBlanc here with me. It's been a minute since I've been able to speak with Ryan here on the show. I've talked with student athletes from the Binghamton wrestling team for many years now, including this season, and I'm always impressed by what they do individually and as a group. And now Ryan is here with me on the heels of the expansion of the facility opportunity practice place in 8,200 square feet and what we're doing to repurpose a portion of the West Gym for Binghamton. So a lot of great news coming up for the Bearcats, and the hat that Ryan is currently wearing, I've decided I want that hat. So we're here in this Bearcat Breakroom in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios on Wake Up Call. Ryan, how are you?
Great, man. Great. Excited to be on. I appreciate you spreading the good word for Binghamton athletics and Binghamton wrestling. And some of the guys who you've had on, like Carter and Nate, I've gotten to watch those interviews, and it's just awesome, man. So I really, really appreciate, you supporting our department, but our program, and hearing those guys' stories.
Well, I appreciate you watching, appreciate your kind words here this morning. I would defer to people like Carter and Nate and say, they've given me so much, and the conversations, they go where they go. And, I allow people to be themselves and take it where they want to take it. And Carter and Nate are people of great faith. And I've absolutely been blown away by those conversations that will lift you up on any rainy day or keep you up on a sunny day. And I would implore people to go to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, click on the Binghamton playlist and make sure you watch those back. What is it like to coach the guys, not just Carter and Nate, but this whole team? Because I feel spoiled to talk with the guys I've spoken with over 2+ years. I know you came in here recently to coach this program. What is it like for you to have the student athletes that you have? I don't want to load the question. I know how I feel. I want to know how you feel.
Man, it's awesome. The quality of my job is directly tied to the quality of people within our program. And right now we have just some incredible student athletes, some incredible young people that I get to spend, my days with, and they bring a great energy, and they're excited and highly motivated, on and off the mat, so, man, I'm just super, super blessed to be able to do what I do and with the people that I get to work with, and that's, you're just scratching the tip of the iceberg with Carter and Nate. I mean, it goes all the way through our program, which I'm really, right now it's a great time to coach Binghamton wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, and to see, and as I said in the intro here, the guys have had individual success, team success. I feel like every season there's somebody that's going somewhere, doing something huge, and I get to join them on that journey. For you to see what you're doing in a typical season in the schedule you have, and then to see these guys extend out and have, more life like Nate just had, what can you say about the strength of this Binghamton wrestling program to know that, I mean, at least from my point of view, when the season's over, it's not over. And I feel like there's always the next thing that these guys are fighting for.
Yeah. We're always, our sport is we've gotten to the point where there's always something on the horizon, and you're working towards something. And I think that's really important. I think it's important to not just blindly work, but to have something. Hey, this is what I'm working towards. And so next for us, this is actually the one point in time throughout the year where we have some downtime, but we'll get all our kids back in July, after July 4th, and, kind of have a summer training block and get to meet our new guys. We got some incoming freshmen and transfers, and the process starts, right? So we'll take that group through July all the way through March, and and that team will have its chance to make its mark on this program's history, and it's just exciting. We're really, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, it really never stops. Really what we're talking about here, Ryan, is that once the season's done, I see guys competing for the NCAAs. I see guys, competing in general. I mean, Nate going up against the top guy there, the top seed, and forcing all the way to the, literally forcing the guy to give everything that he had in order for Nate to not be in that, at the end of it, and to be able to be the victor. So even in a loss or even in adversity, Binghamton Wrestling, by and large, in my opinion, is showing the nation, not only are we not going anywhere, but we're going to flip the script on some of these things in the not too distant future, and we're going to take down some of these big seeds, and then you're going to have to watch us go through this when we blow up the pool, so to speak. I mean, where is the state of Binghamton Wrestling from your point of view when there are guys on your team that are going up against a top seed and having such a close match that on the mat it's coming down to like just a hair of who's going to take that thing up against Binghamton?
Yeah, I mean I think it just speaks to the depth of our room and the quality of kids we have. I mean, if you look at Lucer's run at U23s, I mean, his last three opponents were, the University of Michigan. Then he wrestled the kid from the University of Iowa in the quarterfinals, and then he dropped the kid from Penn State. So it's like, and he beats the kid from Michigan, loses 3-2 to the kid from Iowa, and then falls to the kid from Penn State. So, it's really special, and when you talk about the state of the program, it starts to become special when you have multiple guys do it, right? Like Carter had a big breakthrough, beating Danny Wask from Navy, who's a returning All-American at the conference tournament, and several other breakthroughs. Mikey Squires had it. And then Lucier, it's like, he breaks his hand, is having a great year, breaks his hand. And so, you don't hear from him. And then he comes back healthy and shows that, hey, he's right there too. And then, and then we picked up two transfers that have both had, wrestled for me at the Citadel, and both have experienced winning matches at the NCAA tournament, and some high school kids that I think are pretty good too. It's like, all of a sudden that's a recipe for success. So it's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel spoiled. This Binghamton Wrestling program, through Binghamton, I learned about the EIWA, and, just getting to meet these student athletes, and, you look at your coaching staff featuring some of that, guys that I was around when they're student athletes, now seeing them coaching and assisting the team. I just feel like we are on the precipice of something great. I think that the progression has already started to happen. I think we are on our way. But how do you see this in the day-to-day? Do you agree with me, I guess, first and foremost? And then how do you see it? Because from my point of view, in the last 2.5 years of covering this wrestling team, I am seeing that this is not an atypical thing for success, that there is more than one student athlete having it, and that the things that are happening on the mat, as well as the money and the resources that Binghamton's putting into it, I feel like we're in a place right now where I would tell people to jump onto this Binghamton Wrestling program today so that they can be a part of what's about to happen, because I really do think that the dam's about to break and we're about to see some huge things from Binghamton. I want to know if you agree with that, and if you do, where you see that.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, that's part of the reason why I took the job here, belief in our leadership, and Gene Marshall and Dennis Kalina, and what they were, willing to invest in sport of wrestling.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I think especially like when you look at our squad next year, it'll come down to, hey, can this group come together as a group? Can we make a lineup are we putting our best 10 guys out there consistently? And as a coaching staff, can we grow these guys? Can they get better from the start of this thing to the end of this season? And if we can do that, there's we have an old team that has a lot of experience with guys who have, are pretty tested. So I think it's pretty special. And then when you look at our recruiting, I mean, the junior class, we've got 5 verbal commitments of kids that I think are really, really special. So yeah, I think we have, it's one thing to have a flash in the pan, but to sustain success is really difficult at this level. And I think we're laying the groundwork to do that, and I think as when you're coaching a program, there's so much that goes into it, right? It's your coaching staff, the coaches you can bring in, it's the student athletes you can bring in, it's how do you develop and retain them when they're here, and then and then things like this facility project, right? Can we create an environment that has everything we need and is aesthetically pleasing, plus inside that environment, put the right people in place to make it successful. And I think we're doing that. We're working really, really hard at it every day. And I think, I think time will tell, right?
Yeah, but I mean, when you see it happening repeatedly with multiple student athletes over years, that's not a mistake. And, there's been a great sense of, at least from the guys that I've talked with, a great sense of faith. Not something that's forced upon, but that's something that exists within your program. How important is it for you to be a safe place for men of faith, for people that want to connect on something bigger than athletics and bigger than this world? What has it done for your program, and why have you been so open to allowing a safe space for faith?
Well, I think it comes back to like really, as in college athletics and coaches, and I'm a I'm a victim of this sometimes, is we get so caught up in trying to win wrestling matches that it's like, what really is important,
Yeah.
right? Like, and when you start asking, hey, what is sports supposed to teach us, and why are we doing this thing, and why are we devoting our time and energy to it? You really, it gives you the perspective that the wins and losses really aren't the most important thing. It's, hey, how do we grow young men, and how do we grow young men that are going to be great people when they leave here? And I think if you cut out or you make it unsafe for them to express their faith, or that part of their life, like, they're never going to show up and be the best version of themselves, and so I think, at the end of the day, I think anybody who's in this business and doing it right is trying to develop young people significantly more holistic than just trying to win wrestling matches, right? And so I think that's where it's like, I think it's just having the perspective of like, making sure that at the end of the day, you're creating an environment for these kids where they can grow and thrive, and I think if you neglect that part for anybody, right, it's going to be a huge problem over time.
Yeah, no, and I applaud you, when we talk about the progression of this program and the success and how it's happening with more than one student athlete. I applaud you for, not only have I enjoyed my conversation with you and getting to know you, but the way that your student athletes have spoken about how you allow them to be themselves, that they do feel like it's a safe space. So I bring it up today the way I brought it up, really to say thank you, Ryan, for, in a world that's chaotic, in a world that kind of feels like it tells you who to be as opposed to asking you who you want to be, I applaud the fact that you're in a leadership role where you want them to be themselves, you welcome them in, and that you've given them a place that is safe and comforting and more than sports. And I've just picked up on that in the conversations I've had with your student athletes, is that the environment that you've created at Binghamton with this wrestling program has been something that they enjoy, they look forward to. So not a question, more of a thank you that you're one of the leaders in this world that is doing things differently in a good way.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the secrets, right? Like, I think I think we're all looking for edges. And I think if you can get people who show up and they look forward to coming into the practice room and getting better. I think that's a secret, right? I think that's a huge part of it. I think we waste a lot of time trying to force things and this and that, but it's like if you can grow that organically, and that starts with bringing in people like Carter and Nate Lucier and guys like Carson DeRozier and Thomas Snipes and Will Ebert, and the list goes on and on, that are just the type of people you want to spend your time with. And then it's on you as a leader to create an environment where they're looking forward to coming to practice and training, and we're not perfect at it. We still have work to do, but I think that's on the forefront of my mind. More, as I get older, you contemplate it a lot more.
Yeah. And I mean, to your credit, it's working what you're doing with your staff at Binghamton University. So going off of that, in this Bearcat Breakroom with Ryan LeBlanc, the Binghamton Wrestling Head Coach here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University. We're inside these Great Lakes Honda City studios. What have you learned about yourself as far as your pillars of success? What are the things that you feel like you needed to have in this program when you came in that you, as you're putting this house together, you think are standing sturdy right now?
Yeah, I've had some, I was really fortunate to have some good mentors. And one of the things we did, this was back when I was a young assistant coach, is, we created a core values and belief systems. And it's something that it has changed slightly over time, right? Like as you learn and grow, it tweaks, but like these fundamental values, have stayed with me literally probably for the last 10 years. And I think that was like one thing when I first came here. It's like you take over a program, and how can you instill these things in your athletes, that you feel like goes well beyond the sport of wrestling. Things like hard work and sacrifice, delayed gratification, having a growth mindset, faith over fear, these type of ideas. And I feel like we're hitting our stride. Sometimes our guys kind of give me a hard time. They'll make jokes about it in the locker room, right? You start hearing them talk about you and say things in a joking manner, but that's when you're like, all right, they're hearing it, even if it's at my expense sometimes. And Lucier is the perfect example. Like he's just a character, but he'll constantly, sometimes I'll be complaining or something and he'll hit me with some of the things I say. And so when you start hearing that among your athletes, I feel like that's when you got something. And I think we're getting there, and I think it's on us to keep cultivating that.
Well, and you just kind of brought it up, but you're teaching them, they're also teaching you. You brought up that Nate Lucier, has kind of put to you when you're frustrated, hey, coach, remember you told us this. So to kind of give you back your own medicine, has there been a moment this past season where, be it Nate or be it somebody else, took something that you wanted them to know, and that at a time where you were going through adversity and strife, they turned it around on you? Is there a specific moment where you're like, wow, not only did they hear me, but I needed to hear that right now?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just off the top of my head, because it's relatively recent, we're driving to U23s and we're in vans. It's not glamorous. Like our sport is not. I tell our guys it's glamorous like 2 times a year, at the conference tournament, at the NCAA tournament. Everything else is just like a grind, and we're driving these vans and it's a long trip. And I don't know, I was tired or whatever it was. And they just kept saying, hey, it's like, coach, you chose this, you chose this. And that's why I brought it up earlier, as I was just like, man, like, it's just, that's when you're like, okay, we're getting somewhere, and I I needed to hear it. But then when you're sitting back that night and you're reflecting on it, you're like, man, that guy's like, they're starting to hear you. And this is before he had success, like nobody knew he was going to have success. This was literally the car ride up there. So his head screwed on straight a little bit.
I like that he said you chose the. I mean, but it's true. Like when you're in this line of work, my mom told me when I got into broadcasting, she was like, it's a dog eat dog world. Like, you better have thick skin. And all these years later, she says the same thing. So it's like, again, you chose what you chose. So you chose to be the head coach at Binghamton. You and I spoke right after it happened, pretty much. Now that we've had some time and you've had some moments under your belt, what has been the most rewarding and exciting part of this job? In hindsight 2020, are you happy that you took it?
Yeah, 100%. Some of the most I mean, just getting to work with great student athletes, I mean, just the people that I get to work with on a day-to-day basis. And then seeing, I think when you start at anywhere, you have to develop a proof of concept. You have to have those markers that just reinforce, hey, what we're doing is the right thing. The way we're winning is the right way to win. And so, when you look back on the season, I think watching Carter Bear get over the hump on multiple occasions and beat multiple ranked guys, and then do it when it matters, and then Mikey Squires is another perfect example of like, hey, a guy who hasn't been there, who's at the end of his career. And I've heard coaches say, hey, if they don't do it early, then they're never going to do it, right? They have a fixed mindset on something like that. And you have a guy like Mikey, who's in his last year of eligibility, um, you know, come back from an ACL tear,
Yeah.
get healthy, make a run, and then, beat the guy who's ranked third in the country, and then beat a guy from West Point in a really tough back and forth match to go to the national tournament. So things like that are obviously are moments that you're like, hey, like, all right, so there is that proof right away, which is really nice. And then I think just getting, just some of the people we have coming into our program, like Luke Welch, our associate head coach who just joined our staff, his decision to come, right? A guy I worked with for 5 years who I know is going to make a huge impact on our program, who's just another piece of the puzzle. Brevin Casella choosing to stay on and stay with us. You know, Carson DeRozier and Thomas Stipes making the choice to come to Binghamton and wrestle when they had choices to go, to multiple programs that, people would say on paper maybe a better choice, but they chose to come to us. And then, so I think those things, I think just trying to get the right people in place, and it coming, right, it working. So I think that's the most exciting part.
You mentioned Luke Welch coming on to this program and that you've had a history with him. Bring me into the conversation that you had and how this all came together that Luke is now a part of the Bearcats.
Yeah, well, obviously we were super close. I mean, he's a hell of a coach. And so, I think the conversation is like, hey, what do you really want out of this? And this is who we are. This is what we have. Obviously, from the beginning, I've always wanted what I've told Luke is like, I want you to have the choices you want, right? Like,
Yeah.
If you want to stay or you want to do that, like I'm going to support you fully. And I only want you to come if you feel like this is the right place. And obviously we just have a great working relationship. He's somebody that it's just like, it's really in our industry, it's tough to build, it just takes time to build those relationships where you have transparency and trust between your leadership to where, hey, it's like, I know, I don't know, there's no ego. Like, I know Luke can run this thing, he can do these things. I've seen it, we've done it. And so those type of things, it just expedites it. And then he had to take a leap of faith like we all do. I think one thing I know for a fact is you don't have success by yourself. right? And so I think that was part of the conversation. And you'd have to talk to him about it, but I think we both have made sacrifices to make sure, I think we can do something special here. And I think he sees that vision and sees where we think we can take this program, and he's, he ultimately made the choice to come.
What is something about, because I mean, I connected with him, to congratulate him, but have yet to have an expanded conversation with Luke. What should we know about Luke, with you having your time spent with him? I know you spoke about, his abilities, his taking a leap of faith, what he's capable of, the trust that's there. But, give me a little personality of Luke Welch. I want to know, because I'm gonna play this back and forth. I will see what Luke has to say about you as well. So you bring us behind the curtain of Luke Welch.
Oh man. Well, he's got a lot of personality. I don't know. We're different in a lot of ways. Like I think he's got a lot of strengths. That just in personalities we're very different. I'm a little bit more I don't know. I'd just say reserved in this, and Luke's going to be a little bit more, he's kind of always giving people a hard time. He's high energy. Um, and so I think that I value that, right? You value, like when you're in a position like mine, you value people who have strengths that offset your weaknesses. And so I think Luke has a lot of those. He's a tremendous technician, I mean, he really knows wrestling and can teach wrestling at a high level. And there's a million ways to teach wrestling in today's world, and you can prove whatever you want, and you can go on YouTube and find a video of somebody hitting whatever it is.
Yeah.
But we also, I think, look at wrestling very similar. And I think as a staff, when you're teaching, you want to create an identity in your program, it's really, really important. It's like parenting, right? Like if you're united, you're going to get the message through. And so Luke, I think, brings that. I think we look at it very similar. And then his dad's a great baseball coach who's coached a long time, so he was raised by a coach, which I think helps. I think from a young age he was always learning what it's like to be a coach. And I think he realizes it's just, as a coach, you make a tremendous amount of sacrifice, and you have to put a tremendous amount of your time and effort into it to win at this level. And so he's a workhorse, I mean, he's not afraid to work. He's not afraid to roll up his sleeves. I think he's one of the best young recruiters in the game. And he knows what it takes. I mean, there was a time, a story to kind of talk about Luke Welch. One that sticks with me is we were setting up for a tournament when we were, I just started at the Citadel.
Yeah.
And we had a mat that wasn't regulation, and it was like 10 p.m. and we learned that it wasn't regulation, and and this is 10 p.m. and we're going to be back at the facility at like 5:30 a.m. the next day. And we had to go get a mat and then replace it. And it was like, we left at like 2 a.m., got back at 5:30 a.m. And, it was like, not only did he not complain or cry about the situation, he's like, all right, let's do it. Like, what do we have to do to solve this problem? And, we're gonna get through this, and we're not, we're gonna do what we have to do. And so he's just, he's a great person. He's a great worker. And he's good at his job. Personality, I'll let him share that with you.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, listen, we all strive to have people that in a crisis situation are not only calm, but show up and don't complain and figure it out together. That's what it's all about. Before we jump into rapid fire, I do want to hit with something we've been alluding to throughout the conversation here in this Bearcat Breakroom with the leader of Binghamton Wrestling, that being Ryan LeBlanc. And that is the fact of we are following the announcement of a new 8,200 square foot space that will be constructed in the West Gymnasium at Binghamton University, which is a repurposed space on the south court that will now become the permanent practice home for Bearcats wrestling. Bring me into more specifically what this is going to look like, what it's doing, and how this is elevating the program as we step forward here in 2026.
Yeah, I think this facility is huge. I mean, so currently, we don't have enough mat space to really train safely and effectively with our entire team at the same time. And I think that was like that's one of the biggest things that has pushed this process through. So this new space will have over I think it's like 5,200 square foot of full mat space. And so, you'll be able to do everything you need, from simulation matches to wrestling live to drilling hard with your entire group. And so, I think that will really change. I mean, that alleviates pressure on your staff, that alleviates class conflict pressure, that alleviates multiple practices throughout the day. And so right away, I think just that giant mat space is a huge step in the right direction. And then brand new locker room for your student athletes, athletic training, and recovery station, and then cardio and strength equipment for your guys to, so everything you could think of from a human performance standpoint is going to be tied into this project. And so it's just, obviously a massive, I think it's nice to go and have a beautiful space that you can do everything you need to. And I think it'll be big for recruits to see that investment in wrestling. But at the end of the day, it's like I tell our guys now, it's a double-edged sword. It's like I don't think you need, at the end of the day, it'll come down to the people we bring in and how hard we can get them to, the sacrifices they make and how hard they'll work. So,
yeah, the facilities don't mean anything if you're not putting the work in, essentially. So, I mean, but to see this investment from Eugene Marshall, the athletic director, and the school itself and this athletic department, just what it says to you about how they see their programs. And I mean, there's over 20 sports at Binghamton University, and we know in the spring of 2028, women's flag football is becoming an addition to all of this. So to know what Binghamton is doing, what they have done, and what they're working on, we know that the track is obviously coming together right now. So amidst all of this, to have Eugene Marshall and, the school itself and the department itself say to you, Ryan, we're going to also provide this for you, that you were on their mind and that this is something that they wanted to do in the here and now. Some schools have excuses, right? We're working on this. We'll get to you when we get to you. What does it mean to you, not only that they're investing, but they're investing at a time where they're also investing in other things?
Well, in today's climate, it's huge. It's huge investment in the sport of wrestling, which is, one of the major reasons I took this position. Is just seeing that investment and the growth of Binghamton athletics over time. I think we're positioned in a place to get stronger over this next phase, compared to a lot of our counterparts. And so I think it's massive. And anything like this takes a tremendous amount of support from your leadership, from President DeLeva to Eugene Marshall to Dennis Kalina to my predecessor and former coaches and alumni. This is not it. It's never just it takes a community, and it definitely takes vision and leadership. And so it's huge. It's a big deal for Binghamton wrestling and Binghamton athletics.
Well, I will say this right before rapid fire. Speaking of investment, what do I have to do to get the exact same hat that you're wearing right now?
This is a bookstore hat. So just like I did, I had to go to the bookstore to buy this. This isn't a wrestling hat or athletics. I think one of my first weeks, I just loved these kind of Nike dry fit hats.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. You got to go to the bookstore on campus. We probably work something out. We'll figure it out.
I got to tell you, I think that's my favorite Binghamton hat because it's got the B and the Bearcat. So let's play some rapid fire. Bearcat Breakroom, exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University, brings you your Bearcats every week, Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, including the wrestling head coach today in Ryan LeBlanc. Ryan, let's jump right into rapid fire. You get the first question. What do you got for me?
Um, what draws you to Binghamton athletics? And why is Binghamton athletics so special to you?
You know, it's a good question. Something inside of me years ago was like, why not? And that's how a lot of things start with me is whatever I'm doing, I always want to do more. And it's not a greed thing. It's just I want my world to be small. I want to know as many people as I can know. I want to help. I want to shine light on as many places as I possibly can. And Binghamton was just one of those places where I don't know how I originally got connected to Beth Ann Shapiro Ord, the women's basketball coach at the time, and Lavelle Sanders, the men's coach, but it kind of just happened. And even before that, connecting with some people, and Beth Ann and Lavelle were, troopers for me. They wanted me on campus. I told them of my idea years ago, and Lavelle actually introduced me as that when I came to a game. He was introduced me to somebody, and he's like, "This is Dan Tortora. He's a guy that we're looking to work with." And, Eugene Marshall wasn't there when I first connected with Binghamton. And then he got there, and something inside of me was like, revisit your plan and talk to him. And we were at a basketball game, and it was the end of the game, and we were standing on the court. And I said, Gene, that plan I spoke with you about? I'd really love to meet with you in person. Simple as that. And he said, let's do it. And we sat in the office, and we talked very little about the mechanics of the plan and more about who we are as people. And we aligned, and in a lot of ways. And you could just tell in that room, like, it's going to happen. So how did I take to Binghamton? It's something that, why not Binghamton? And then it turned into, I'll call him my extended family because he's not my biological grandpa, but Grandpa Bill, who's now in heaven. He loved the area. Union Endicott, Maine Endwell, Binghamton University. And so my love for Binghamton that was growing was accentuated by the fact that he has that love. And I just kept trying. And after 3 years, I said, I'm gonna go after it again. And Gene sat with me, like I said, and we talked. And I just told him my vision and what I see and what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it. And since then, it has been an incredible run. I felt like it was going to be a great thing for Binghamton and for me. And I've been more than fulfilled in the fact that the people that I've met, yourself included, and your student athletes, everything I thought this was going to be, it's 10 times better. And it's because of the people. So it happened, kind of just happened, but I wasn't going to give up on Binghamton, and I'm happy Binghamton didn't give up on me.
Awesome.
My question back to you, Ryan. All right, let's keep with it. Let's keep with the show. I'm going to let you take over the show tomorrow for this question. So it is Wake Up Call with Ryan LeBlanc. Who are your 3 guests? They can be living or deceased. They can be sports, entertainment, family, literally whatever you want. 3 guests. Who are they and why?
Three guests. It's a good question. I think one name that comes to mind is John Wooden. Like I'm just a huge fan of Coach Wooden and kind of what he did at UCLA in the basketball program. And so I'd just love to, I'd love to have a coaching conversation and to hear his, I've read his book, things like that, but to really hear, I think his values in his thought process for a guy who made it for so long in so much changes in college athletics. We talk about our time right now changing. And I think he had a great value system. And so he's one of the people that I'd love to talk to. Um, I think I I first thought, just rapid fire. It's like coaches are coming to mind.
Yeah.
Like coaches, past coaches who have dealt with building great programs over a long period of time. So, like Jay Robinson was a great coach in wrestling. I remember when I was a little kid, watching the Minnesota wrestling teams and Coach Robinson, and then having my time at the Citadel, his military background, and he took Minnesota to what it was. So I think, being able to interview Coach Robinson, would be special. Um, and third one, um, this is tricky. I would probably go with Coach Herbert. Steve Herbert was a longtime Binghamton wrestling coach. I've started to build a relationship with Coach Herbert and gotten to know the kind of person he is. And he, in a short time has made a big impact on me. And so I think I'd love to hear, actually be able to intentionally ask him in this format questions about his experience. He lived the life I'm living. I don't know how long he was a coach here, but I know, and then just talking with our alumni, the impact he's had on so many generations of Binghamton wrestling. I think a format like this would be great.
Well, I like it, and I like coach to coach. I think that that's definitely something that's worth watching and listening to as well, and I appreciate the reasons behind it. What's your next question for me?
What do you think is one habit that you've developed that has really, really made you successful? And it can be anything. And maybe and I would encourage you to think past maybe your first one or the easy ones, but what is one thing in your a routine or ritual that you think, like we talk in our program a ton about routines and rituals. Like I think they're so important in success.
Yeah.
Is there something that you can tie to your life and success that is a routine, ritual, or habit that you've developed?
It's a great question. It's causing me to think. I mean, I've always had my faith, and I've always been able to talk with people. But I would say, what's something that has kind of come over time? I would say that I have grown in, I think coming into my career, I've always had a passion for speaking and bringing people together and making people laugh, and I love sports. And it was a perfect marriage of a lot of things. But I think I have learned my strength. And I think what people saw in me is not necessarily what I was seeing in myself. And being in the media world, there's a lot of theft, there's a lot of lies, there's a lot of hate, there's a lot of negativity, there's a lot of loneliness in the media. And it really just becomes it's like a German Autobahn of just cars flying by, who can be the fastest and who's cutting you off to the story. And I never anticipated any of this, Ryan. And I think the thing I've had to learn the most, and I'm going to say it in a family show sense, is not giving a you know what. I think I had to learn to not care. When my work is stolen, and it used to happen like maybe once a year or once every other year. Then it was once a month. Now I feel like my work gets stolen sometimes day to day. And I had to get to a point, and I'll tell you this, I really cared what people thought, and I really cared what people did. And I really cared that people didn't get in trouble for doing something that wasn't right and kind and good. And then I was on the phone with my dad within the last few months, and I started to complain about this stuff. And I stopped myself in my conversation room, which is my living room, but like all the chairs are facing each other. There's no TV. It's like a room where you have to visit and get to know each other. And I was standing next to my table, and I said, you know what, Dad? No, I'm not doing this anymore. I felt my stomach start to twist, and physically I felt ill. And I said, I have spent years putting myself through hell over things that I can't control. I don't care what people think. I don't care what people say. I don't care what people do. I am going to be me. I no longer care about what they're going to do and say to me, because it's not going to control my life anymore. And dedicating myself to that statement since then has been a journey of strength. I think I've done better than I haven't. And I would say that's probably something I've really learned the most, was I had to get to a point in my life where I stopped allowing outside forces to affect my inner voice and the way that I handle myself. And those days are over. And I'm committed to that for the rest of my life and beyond.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah, and I could, in today's world, I hear a lot of things you're saying, and I can relate, man, in a lot of ways. And I think the more you can really, pay attention to, hey, what can I actually control, and who do I want to be, right? And it's simple, but two wrongs don't make a right, right? If you get down, making the same decisions other people doesn't make it right.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think it's being around, people that are good, that continue to build you up and challenge you. I find that there's never a bad hour to work, and there's always ideas, and I'm always passionate about it. So I think surrounding myself with passionate people, I love to make people laugh. So people that make me laugh, people that are passionate, people of faith, I think that you really are the energy that you surround yourself with. And I've been very cognizant of what I allow in my bubble. And I think that that's incredibly important. Ryan, you've been good about all of the questions I've asked you. I'm not going to put you on the hot seat for a last one. I'm going to give you a bonus. So you get to end this Bearcat Break Room by asking me one final question. What is it?
So outside of the Bible, I think I asked you this last time I was in the show. Is there a book or podcast that you feel like, I should read? I think I'm always searching for good material.
Yeah, I have to read more, and it's not that I don't have the books, I just have to commit the time to them. So I would say, there's a book that I was told to get, and I have it, and I feel like I get the gist of it, but I haven't read it yet, is Let Them, which I think is important, and it's going off of, what we're talking about, of the only thing you can really control in this world is yourself. So I think that's a book I haven't read, but I would say, maybe you and I both should. But then one book that I've gotten the farthest in, that I really have loved, is a book about an actor who loves sports, and just reading through it, I find that him and I have a lot of similarities, and my blending of sports and entertainment, I'm not alone. And I've loved the journey because I feel like it's helped me to get to know him, and I love to meet him and actually get to spend time with him, as Billy Crystal. And the book's called Still Fooling Him, but it's a very it's a very real book. But I would say one that I've read cover to cover that just hit me while I'm saying all this other stuff is a book that my friend Val sent me, and it took me years to read it, but I cannot tell you how much it has truly paralleled my life and caused me to think about the people that are my Maury, and who I, just the person that's writing this, Mitch Albom, like the similarities I have with him, and then who I would consider in my life to be my Maury is Tuesdays with Maury. And then to read that book and have Maury go through, ALS and all of that, and then to have a friend and a brother in Jimmer Sikowski, who I met before he was diagnosed with ALS, and now we're 5+ years in. to have the opportunity to read the book that Val gave me, send it back to her with a note, and then buy my own copy and give it to Jimmer and write my own note in it. It's just interesting how the world works, Ryan. And I'm grateful for my Maury's. I'm grateful for my Tuesdays. And I'm actually going to see Jimmer today. So I would suggest that you should read Tuesdays with Maury.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that. I love the story and the impact it's had on you too. And where that brought you, you know. That's what I think a good book can do. So
yeah. Well, with that being said, I don't know how to say goodbye to you or any of your guys because you're too much fun to have on the show. So I will say see you soon, and hopefully you and I get to do something in person soon as well. But again, I want to thank you, Ryan, in closing for your faith, for your leadership, and for the care that you give these gentlemen. And I mean, I don't have to tell you, but you have an extraordinary group of student athletes and, you know, coaching staff and just people connected to this program. It's been a thrill and a blessing for me to cover this program, and I'd like to think we're just getting started. So let me say thank you to you and the guys, and that I appreciate the fact that you're doing things the way you're doing things. And just so you know, it's rubbing off in a good way, at least from the conversations I'm having.
awesome. Well, thanks, Dan. I appreciate everything you do. And I think telling those guys stories, because man, I know it means a lot to me to go back and listen to their words and that's what really is special is those people in our program. And so thank you. And without your platform, a lot of these stories wouldn't be told, you know? And so, no, the feeling's mutual. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And make sure that bookstore doesn't sell out of those hats. With that being said, Ryan LeBlanc, have yourself a wonderful day and a blessed week, and I'll look forward to talking with you soon.
You too. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Ryan. That coming from Ryan LeBlanc one more time here, Binghamton University Wrestling Head Coach here in this edition of the Bearcat Breakroom in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University. You get the Bearcats every week. Nobody's doing it like this. And the Bearcats are with us Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time worldwide. And of course, they're up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, as well as on WakeUpCallDT.mixlr.com. We're going to take a step aside for a fast break. We've only taken one fast break, and it's past 11 o'clock, but I am an under-promise, over-deliver type of human being, and I hope you can appreciate it because I always want to bring you more than what we promised we'd bring you. I think yesterday's show was almost 3.5 hours, and listen, that's because I care about you. Even if I've never met you and I never meet you, know that you're loved, you're valued, you're appreciated. God made you for a reason. Don't quit. Don't give up. And if you ever need a prayer or just somebody to send you a message, you can always write into the show, and I'm always happy to send positivity your way. Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, X at CallDT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. Who are we if we can't help or don't help one another? The ingredients to success come up right after this. Stay with us. And now a message from Myers Creek Brewing Company, with locations at their Cazenovia Farm Brewery, Syracuse Inner Harbor Tap Room, and soon-to-be Lake Placid Tap Room.
Well, I think first and foremost, the Feldmeyer family and our team are extremely passionate about what we do. We care very much about what we do. The Feldmeyer family is always investing. Our taproom management team, our brew management team, our marketing management team, and all of the team members that get after it every day, they leave it on the field. They put their heart and soul into it. I know for a fact that everyone that works at Myers Creek wants to be there, and we want them to be there. You know, we want them to feel good about their job. And again, if you've never been to a Myers Creek, especially to the brewery, I mean, I want your eyes to open really big. I want you to see how big of a brand this is. I want you to see where we're going. The sky is the limit, and I feel very proud of that, and I'm very excited about that. When you think of designing a menu for a brewery, it's kind of open to a lot of different interpretations. I mean, you can do American, you can do Asian, you can do Italian, and you just have to find, how that meets that pub style dining experience, that gastropub vibe. And I think it's super fun for us because obviously we know that, everyone in the world's going to sell a pizza or a burger or a french fry, but what can we do to be different? And what can we do to be true to who we are? We are a brewery, a brew pub. So the flavor profiles are kind of all over the place. And I think it's super cool that we have a massive smoker at the brewery in Cazenovia, and we smoke a lot of our products. We have a delicious smoked turkey. We have barbecue ribs on Sundays. From a pulled pork sandwich to a chicken wing, you go to the Inner Harbor and you go to the Kaz location and you'll find similarities in the menu, but also things that are a little different and also kind of fit those different demographics or different communities, and also hopefully just drive you to try every tap room that we have open at some point because you get a little something different at each one. We understand how hard it is to, work every day and get after it every day, and when you're done at the end of your day, you want to go out and put your feet up in a good ambiance and good environment. So we take pride in that. We make sure that everyone knows that they're very much valued to us.
Hi, this is Gina Husted. I'm part owner of Skippy's Ice Cream. The other half is my better half, Don Husted Jr. When somebody comes up to the truck and it's a family, it's nice that the older generation is nostalgic and they can tell the younger generation, back in my day, we used to have the truck around our neighborhood. So now you're lucky because the truck can come to your party, and you're lucky that this truck is at a festival and you're getting to buy the ice cream. And basically we're ice cream that comes to you now, specifically comes to you, not for you waiting for us, we're coming to you. We will do neighborhoods if you have a block party. We do birthdays, we do anniversaries, we do celebrations of life, we do wedding showers, we do festivals, we'll do corporate events, we have a lot of corporate picnics, we have family reunions, so it's a whole wide range of whatever party you have, we'd love to be at. We're so appreciative of the community, always coming up to us at festivals and calling us to have different events. We have a lot of return customers. We always have people coming up to our truck. We're always there for the community. We always try to give back to different organizations and fundraisers, and so I think the community sees that. We like to give back to them. This is where we live. This is where we were raised. This is where...
Looking for your next ride? Look no...
So the community is very special to us. I mean, obviously we've lived here our whole lives, so it means a lot that they come up to our truck and that they choose us, because we're just there to please the community and deal with as many people as we can in this community, because this is, like I said, where we were born and raised. If you'd like to get in touch with Skippy's Ice Cream and have us at your next event, I would suggest using our email, skipthecake, skipthecake, skipthecake@gmail.com. That's the fastest way to get a hold of us. It's the easiest way to get a hold of us, and that's going to get the fastest response from us. If you choose to call, if you don't have an email, then you can call 315-456-9750, and we'll be glad to get back to you as soon as we can. Skippy's Ice Cream, the original ice cream truck.
Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge, and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item, available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jim Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Hi, this is Chris Rauda.
And Colleen Rakowski from Gray's Craze of Clay.
It's a fun, innovative, upscale catering solution. We've turned eating into a whole new experience. Each of our boards is packed with delicious mix of artisan cheeses. We use premium cured meats, fresh fruits, nuts, and all of the sweet touches that really bring out the best in every perfect bite.
We offer something as small as a grab and go that feeds one, maybe two people, to our large board that can serve anywhere up to 25, 28 people. So we have the ability to really meet and hopefully exceed all of our customers' expectations when it comes to the different varieties of things that we have.
Charcuterie boards or boxes are healthy, fresh, delicious. They're made to order. We're baking the breads here daily. We're baking the cookies here daily. All of our dips are homemade, made in-house. All of our spreads are all made in-house.
When you open that board or box that we have delivered or you have picked up, we want you to know that it was made with care and designed to completely elevate your event, celebration, or meeting.
We've catered parties and events for up to 300 people. So if you're walking in to grab something for lunch or something for date night or movie night, that's great too. Our events go from you eating in the car on the way home to a catering event in a rehearsal dinner or cocktail hour or party.
When we do, again, know what the event is, specifically for a wedding, we like to schedule tastings so the bride and groom can come in and see what we have to offer, and we can then, as we talk, to try to understand what they're looking for, what the venue's like. We do like to have that one-on-one interaction when it comes to catering bigger events.
Our address is 4599 State Route 31, Suite 5, in Clay, New York. We're on the corner of Route 31 and Henry Clay at Clay Marketplace.
You can order on the phone by calling area code 315-409-4171 or online at grayscraze.com/clay-ny. Come visit us at Gray's Craze of Clay, New York,
where we want you to celebrate everything.
Hey everybody, this is Rockney Roberts from Willow Rock Brewing Company. We are here in Cicero at the Willow Rock Pizza Pub.
And I'm Kevin Williams, also from Willow Rock Brewing Company. Happy to be here and happy to be partnering with CNS and Dan Tortora.
You want some place where you can feel comfortable and hopefully ingratiate yourself with the community. And Kevin, he grew up right down the road from here. I grew up in Brewerton, so not too far away. We know the area, we know the people, they're great, and we were just really excited to be able to come to the area.
Yeah, and having the opportunity to meet some of these coaches, some of the people in general already, and seeing the CNS colors kind of around, and already partnering on a smaller level with individual teams really made this make sense to us to really formalize kind of a partnership with the school and get this rolling.
You know, Willow Rock to me has always been about high quality beverages, high quality experiences, and now high quality food in our pizza pub. You know, that was something new for us when we came to Cicero. Right from the drop, we knew we were going to have a focus on the highest quality food to go with our high quality beer. At the Willow Rock Pizza Pub, you're getting high quality, hand cut, top notch ingredients. We're open for lunch. That's a really important thing for us, is to be able to get that person in here like, hey, you only got 30 minutes for lunch, but we're going to have something for you that you can get quickly and available to everybody.
Yeah, we wanted something that was just a little bit outside the box, a little bit outside of comfort zone, but still something that you could rely on to be consistent and easy to look at and easy to be like, oh, I can see myself eating this. I can see myself wanting to have that more than once. Eating a whole pizza like our beef on weck pizza, I've never seen one anywhere. It's just a great ideas, great inspiration across the board. We're their spot to stop. We're their friendly neighborhood watering hole, as well as pizza place and place to stop for a restaurant. Not just beer drinkers here. We've got wines, we got cocktails, we got non-alcoholic stuff for the kids.
The location is more important today than it ever has been before, and we're lucky enough to be here in Cicero. The Willow Rock Pizza Pub is a place where you can bring your family. You can come in, you can grab a soda, you can relax. You can come after a game, before a game, your parents, your grandparents. Our goal is to make sure that everyone's comfortable here. We want students, we want athletes, we want your coaches. It's going to be a good time. So come here, enjoy the high quality food, high quality beverage that we're going to offer to everybody. And hey, go North Stars.
We're so happy to have the North Stars. We are very much a kid-friendly establishment. We have tons of space outside for everybody to be playing outside, as well as listening to live music, enjoying some pizza.
The Willow Rock Pizza Pub is open 6 days a week here in Cicero. That is Tuesday through Sunday. And our website is willowrockbrew.com, and our socials are at Willow Rock Brew. So find us on the net, find us in person. We'll see you soon.
And welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. We appreciate you being here with us Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where sports meets life, and I implore you to head out to Great Lakes Honda City. Listen, we all need our vehicles. Why not get ones that are good on gas mileage, that have obviously been vehicles that I think have brought us a lot of safety, and, you know, they're beautiful. They're sleek, they're nice, they offer a lot. I have felt safe in my vehicles from Great Lakes Honda City, and, you know, on top of all of that, I can appreciate, especially when gas prices go up, the gas mileage I've been getting to this day on my Honda CR-V. So head out to Great Lakes Honda City today. Let them know the DT sent you to 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Open for sales and service Monday through Saturday, and all the time online at greatlakeshondacity.com. It's time to jump into the ingredients to success. These ingredients to success are proudly presented by Avicolli's. Avicolli's is on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York. Go and visit them 7 days a week for lunch, dinner, and drinks. Of course, if you are going there and drinking, make sure you drink responsibly and only if you are of age. And we appreciate everybody that's gone out to Avicolli's on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road, including to come see my broadcast with Liverpool Athletics. Liverpool High School is right down the road from Avicolli's, and we are happy to be there with student athletes, coaches, administration, and just the whole team at Liverpool High School. When it comes to the athletic world, we can't thank them enough for joining us over at Avicolli's each month, including all the shows we've gotten to do recently, which also featured the Liverpool baseball program most recently, who has had an incredible season with a Section 3 Class AAA championship and playing in the state title game this season as well. So big time shout out to Liverpool Athletics, and we always look forward to seeing you out at Avicolli's to celebrate the community and celebrate our Liverpool student athletes, coaches, administration, and more. With that being said, this ingredients to success has to do with the topic. It's okay to rest. This is something I had to learn. It's not something I always knew. So, learning how to rest and taking that time and not feeling guilty about it. It's okay. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to take a nap. It's okay to say, you know what? I just want to relax. I need some time. It's okay. And rest can look like different things to different people. It could be an actual nap, or it could be I'm playing my favorite video game, or I'm opening up a box of cards, or I'm reading a book, or I'm swimming, or I'm sitting by the pool, or I'm just sitting outside, or I'm taking a walk, right? Sometimes what relaxes us is different from person to person, but it's okay to take a step aside and to reintroduce yourself to yourself. We get lost in schedules and expectations. And I've talked to you about this before on the show. Other people's expectations of you are none of your business. None of my business, none of your business. People can expect what they want to expect, and that's great. And maybe we exceed their expectations, and maybe we don't. Maybe we meet them, maybe we don't, but who cares? What does it matter? If we're giving our best and if we're doing the best we can, if we're not cutting corners, we're working as hard as we can, as diligent as we can, as honest as we can, with morality and value and all of that there, then what do we have to apologize for? It is okay to say, I need a break. I just want to go sit. I'm going to drink a glass of wine. I'm going to go watch a movie. I'm going to catch up on that TV show that I told myself I was going to finish 5 years ago. It's okay to just be. And I think we allow ourselves that on vacation. But how long is vacation? 4 days? A week? 2 weeks? So what are you going to do for the rest of the year? Take a week vacation. The next 51 weeks, you're not going to rest. You're not going to relax. You're not going to give yourself time to close your eyes and let the sun hit your face. I feel one with God when I feel it in a lot of ways, but in the quiet, I can hear him, even if he's not speaking to me, with words that are out loud. You know, people expect God to like grab you and go, hey, this is what you have to do. Call this person, go to this place, date them, take that job. And listen, there's been points in my life where I have heard him say direct things to me. There's other times where it's in the silence. It's but a whisper. Sometimes it's just giving enough silence to hear him in my heart and know him. If we don't rest, and you can rest with other people, right? I love spending time with friends and laughing. That's my, you know, to just sit with Isaac and laugh, catch up on life, make a memory. When I sit with Jimmer today, that's relaxing to me. Get to see my brother. You know, I've always loved the pool. I've always loved water. Some people go on vacation and they can't help but like sit out in the sun all day. I got to get in the pool. And some people don't want to. And I've been on trips where people want to get in the pool with me and people don't. And when people don't, they're like, well, if I don't, then what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm still going to get in the pool. Because I know that that's what I enjoy. And I don't need anybody to come with me. If I know where I want to go, I'm going to go. And I think that that's something I had to learn in my life is I have spent my entire life doing what other people want to do so that they feel good and they feel comfortable. Instead of going, you know what? I'm missing out on a lot of stuff and I'm not going to be selfish, but I have every right to go do something I like to do. And I like to go to see the movies. I love going to the movies. And I've probably been to more movies in the last month. This is more like me back in the day where I used to go every week, twice a week. Not because I'm lazy, not because I'm wasteful, but it's something I love to do. And I met a lot of people that didn't like that I like to go to the movies, didn't want to go to the movies, didn't understand, and talk to me about wasting money and wasting time, and you could be doing something else, and why would you do this? And I don't do that with people. Now, if you drink a lot of alcohol and you act like an idiot, I might say, like, is this the best decision for your life? But that's vastly different. We're talking about something where you could be hurting your body, hurting other people, and destroying your relationships. Going to the movies to me is not destroying your relationship. It's going and relaxing in a place where you can just be quiet and be immersed in whatever you're watching, right? Go to that world for a couple hours. I believe in good, clean fun. And what do I mean by that? Not a substance or a thing to dull the pain or make you forget about something, but something that is harmless, that, you know, is what you love or what you enjoy. When I play basketball, shut my brain off. Go to the movies, I try to shut my brain off and just kind of be there. And I know when I need something and I'm cognizant of it. And I'll ask myself in my brain, just like, okay, what do you want to do? Okay, you want to do that? Okay, when are we going to do that? And I'll go back and forth, like, do I want to do that today? And if I'm not really sold on it, I go, okay. And if I wake up the next day and I'm like, man, now I want to do it even more, then I say, okay, then let's figure that out. Like, I know when I need to go to Florida. It's my second home. It's the second hub of my company. It's a place that I love. It's home to me. And it's another home. And there's so many things about Florida that are near and dear to my heart for different reasons. So I know when I need to get on a plane and go ride my favorite ride. I know when it's time for me to listen to music. I know when it's time for me to go sit outside. And I think it's really important to listen to that, especially when something is bothering you and you don't want to slip into an old habit or a way of thinking. So you know the things that work for you, where you can be at peace. Because it's when I'm at peace and when I'm truly relaxed that I feel like God comes to me very clearly and succinctly. And there's a calm to that. But if I'm go, meeting, show, recording this, doing that, then I'm not giving myself the time to have that. And I don't need to be like broken away from the world. And I most certainly don't, cut out the people that I care about most. I just know, I know myself. And giving yourself permission to rest, to relax, to recharge, It's not a bad thing. And to me, it's like a necessary wellness thing. You know, I never did it for myself, but, you know, I'd have other people tell me, like, I got to do this, I got to do that. And sometimes you wonder, like, oh, why? You know, why are they doing that? Why do they have to do that? And now I look back at it and I think about it and I'm like, man, like, why wasn't I doing that? You know, why wasn't I just going, I don't want to be on the phone with this person complaining about all this stuff and driving me nuts. I want to just go listen to music for like 5 minutes. And I think what I've learned in life, and it's interesting because I think this world's just gotten, I don't think the world's gotten more opinionated. I just think we have access to people's opinions a lot more now. I think people have always been opinionated. It's just we hear them more now. But you can shut that off. You don't have to look at your phone. You don't have to go on social media. You don't have to call everybody and get in the group text and all that stuff. Sometimes you can just go, you know what? No. I remember one time I forgot my phone at my house. And I was going to the movies. And I thought to myself, oh crap, I need my phone. Like, what if something happens? What if there's news? What if I got to put out something for work? What if somebody calls? And then I thought to myself, no, just go to the movie. And it was amazing because you take away that, you know, reach in your pocket and check out who's on the phone and this, that, and the third. It's nice to just be. To just have calm. And if you don't master what brings you peace, you will be in chaos. And even if you're peaceful right now, you will eventually slip into old habits and things that can work against you because we all need to reset. I tell people this all the time. Why do we recharge our devices but not ourselves? Why do we go crazy if our phone's at 20%, but when we're at 20%, we just keep driving ourselves into a wall? I stay up late because sometimes it's the only time I get to watch television. Sometimes it's because I feel like I neglected Lily and I want to spend more time with her before I go to sleep. Sometimes it's that I'm on the phone having a great conversation. Sometimes it's that I'm working on something. Sometimes it's something that I know I have to do that I put off doing and I got to get it done. Sometimes I'm folding laundry. Sometimes I'm doing all of those things. And I don't mind staying up because I've always been a go-getter. But I also know my body, and I know that just because I can push it doesn't mean I should. Because normally when I push myself, I eventually hit a wall. And I don't get sick for like 5 minutes. I'll get sick for a month, 3 months, where it's like lingering and it's there. And I don't want that. There's no point in taking the little energy you have and driving yourself to zero, knowing that you're going to pay for it at some point. You got to be smart and you have to be cognizant of it. And I think a misconception of me, because people see me posting late at night, or they talk to me late at night, or they see me out, not see me out, but they see me doing things late at night when it comes to, a lot checking on social media and on the internet. It doesn't mean I don't value my rest, and it doesn't mean I don't need it. And it doesn't mean I don't wake up tired. I just had to give myself the okay to take a nap in the middle of the day. It was sad because the only time that I really gave myself the peace was when I'm sick. I got a sinus infection. I have to lay in bed. And this overwhelming calm came over my mind. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm great. It's great that I'm doing this now, but why can't I do this when I feel healthy? Having surgery recently, it put me in a place for a week where I was just really taking care of me. And now the challenge is that I'm feeling better. Will I continue to take care of me? When something bad happens or adverse happens or something that changes our schedule happens, we tend to care more about our well-being in those moments. But when everything's presumably fine, we may not be taking care of ourselves. I told people that coming out of COVID, I said, during COVID, maybe we started calling each other more, FaceTiming more, valuing our visits. Maybe we prayed more. Maybe we prayed for the first time. Maybe we valued food, valued that we had money, valued each other, valued just being alive. And the test will be that once our doors open and we can go outside again, will we value the things we learned how to value, or will we fall right back into the rat race? And I think some people did, and maybe some people continue to value and have gotten better. I think I fall somewhere in between. I think there's times where I remember how precious everything was and what COVID taught me. And there's other times where I feel like, I'm just back into all this stuff, stressing out and not really taking a step back and appreciating everything that I have. And that's where you have to check yourself. But I think only in rest can you do that. I think only in time can you, and I'm a people person, and I'm constantly talking and wanting to help people. So I would feel bad if I was by myself, because then I'm not helping somebody and not doing something. And then I realized sometimes taking rest means being with certain people. Sometimes it means being alone. But you have to know yourself and value yourself and give yourself permission to rest, because you're no good to anybody if you don't. And now, taking a nap in the middle of the day, or going for a walk, or going to the movies, I don't feel guilty anymore. And that's a great feeling. And I pray that you either have it or that you will soon. Have the feeling of, it's okay for me to do something nice and harmless for myself, for my own wellness and well-being. So be kind to yourself. Be cognizant of what your mind and your body and your heart are telling you. And don't feel like you owe anybody an explanation for taking care of yourself. Just make sure you do it, because we all tend to do the right thing when it's thrust upon us because something happens, right? Tragedy causes people to wake up. Well, I don't want tragedy to have to happen to anybody, and I absolutely don't want tragedy to be the wake-up call. I want us to take care of ourselves because it's important, because we value our health, because we value who we give our time to and when we give that time. I want us to do the right thing, not because we're in a place where we have no other choice, but because we know well enough that taking care of ourselves and our well-being is important. I know a lot of people that take care of everybody else but themselves. And I want you to know it is not selfish to self-care. And it's absolutely okay to stay in bed an extra hour if you can. Don't feel guilty. Peace is a good thing. And finding peace in the world is one of God's greatest gifts. But He can't give it to you if you don't sit down long enough to receive it. So, even if it's a half an hour today, go sit somewhere, close your eyes, read something, laugh about something. Don't just charge your phone today. Charge yourself. Your battery is more important than your phone. Trust me. I've learned the hard way. I don't want you to have to. Be good to yourself and be good to each other. We'll take a step aside. This has been the Ingredients to Success, proudly presented by Avicolli's. Today's topic, it's okay to rest. Head out to Avicolli's and take a little break. Get some lunch, get some dinner. And, of course, they're on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, open 7 days a week. And you can also go online to myavicollis.com and order there. That's myavicollis.com. And you can call for takeout, catering, and delivery, 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100 for Avicolli's. Thank you to Avicolli's for all that they do and for the Ingredients to Success. I'm proud to partner with a wonderful place. Shout out to John Fratto, the Avicolli family, and everyone over at Avicolli's. We'll be back inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios to wrap up the show right after this.
Avicolli's restaurant, located on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, has been serving our community for decades. Your place to go for home cooking on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road is just minutes from Liverpool High School. And every single month, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is on site, on location, with Liverpool sports, student athletes, coaches, and administration telling their stories throughout the year. We look forward to seeing you on site at Avicolli's for their casual pizza side, their fine dining, as well as their bar. And of course, you can order online at myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. For takeout, delivery, and catering, call 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100. Come on in to the neighborhood spot Avicolli's, open 7 days a week in Liverpool, New York. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is your home away from home for your furry-loving friends. Open 7 days a week with drop-off and pickup times in the morning and later on in the day and early evening. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is the spot to trust with your dog for short and long-term stays. Call 315-299-4013 for more information. That's 315-299-4013, and go to k9campground.com as well. That's K9, ground.com, where you will find all of the information on their different cabins, which include the classic cabin, executive cabin, grand cabin, and luxury cabin. K9 Campground Dog Boarding, where your dog will have indoor and outdoor areas as well as their own private cabin for any size, any breed, as well as dogs with different needs. Dog parents and dogs alike choose K9 Campground Dog Boarding. Isn't that right, Lily?
Hello, this is Dylan Husted, the owner of the Baked Potato Express. We do mostly big festivals or big corporate like private events. Typically just big festivals such as like Taste of Syracuse, Food Truck Battle, Battle of the Wings. I do the State Fair. They're ordering from a fresh food truck that is making real food and happy to make it and wants them to enjoy every bite. We season every potato before they go in the oven, and then they bake for an hour, and when they come out, we season them again after we cut them. We use real butter, real cheese, real ingredients, so it's all really good food and people love it. We have a lot of returning customers and regulars that we see very often. The customers really make a big impact, and this is a big food truck community. The events here are super busy. It's like in my blood. I like building things and creating stuff that people love, and me and my friends are the ones that run the truck, so it's kind of, we keep it's a tight circle in there, and we have like a family sort of oriented truck, and it's a lot of fun, and we have a good time doing it, and people love our food, so it ends up making it well for everybody. You can contact the Baked Potato Express at thebakedpotatoexpress@gmail.com or the Baked Potato Express on Instagram or TikTok. We are very happy to be partnered up with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as the exclusive sponsor of the Annoying Moment of the Week. And be sure to try DT's baked potato creation at all of our food trucks. The Baked Potato Express. Let's get baked.
Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes. Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Brian and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Brian and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Bryan's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Life gets busy, and sometimes that means us running around. So Canine Camp Dog Daycare offers you an opportunity to give your dog a place to stay while you take care of what you need to throughout the day. Canine Camp Dog Daycare is located on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, New York. You can see it from the highway, and it's just off of Erie Boulevard across from BJ's Wholesale Club. Call 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110 to schedule an appointment to bring your dog in and tour the facility. Appointments are Monday through Thursday after 6:30, where you and your dog can see everything that Canine Camp Dog Daycare has to offer, including a self-serve dog wash and a retail store filled with all of your dog's wants and needs, including food, treats, harnesses, leashes, and more, making Canine Camp Dog Daycare your one-stop shop for your furry-loving friend. Right, Lily? In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York is your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. Make your way over to GG Cards and Breaks today and every Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6, Sundays from 10 to 5 to get closer to the teams you love, the players you love, and of course the games you love to play and the characters that you love to collect. GG Cards and Breaks helps you stay a big kid no matter what your age, and people come in there from all different ages and all different connections to the sports card and trading card world. Some walk in there that have never collected before, and some have been collecting for years. Some are 9 years old, some might be 70 or 80 years old. The connection that we build through just this unboxing of something or opening packs of cards or going through the cases and finding a card that we've been looking for years, there's just something to the excitement, the camaraderie, the connection, and the appreciation of being a kid and staying a kid. I think the best adults are the ones that never lose their kid spirit. And GG Cards and Breaks is a place that always takes care of that kid spirit. So head out there today, make a memory, have some fun, and go collect something and either share that with somebody or keep it for you or both, right? Buy a pack for you, a pack for someone else. Open them together, see what you get. Oh, they got my favorite player, I got their favorite player, swap them. There's conversations that come from this, relationships that build, and it's just a special connection. So make sure that you head over to GG Cards and Breaks, make a memory today, and go collect something cool. Let us know. Send us a picture. GG Cards and Breaks open Tuesday through Saturday, from 10 to 6, and on Sundays from 10 to 5. Big time shout out and many thanks to the wonderful Chick-fil-A on the corner of Bridge Street and Erie Boulevard. We thank Chick-fil-A in DeWitt on the corner of Bridge Street and Erie Boulevard for bringing us all of our favorites that we love so very much, including the new things like the pineapple dragon fruit. So make sure you get out there today to Chick-fil-A in DeWitt and try the new favorites, try everything that they have to offer, whether it's the newness of the pineapple dragon fruit beverage or it's getting one of their frosted beverages that is a twist on what they already offer you there. Instead of getting a Coke Zero, you can get a frosted Coke Zero. Or you want to go and get those nuggets that you've gotten for years that you just love and you're jonesing for them today. The mac and cheese, their shakes, their original chicken sandwich, the spicy, the grilled. Chick-fil-A in DeWitt is there for all of it and there to make a memory with you. We'll see you out there at Chick-fil-A in DeWitt today on the corner of Bridge Street and Erie Boulevard, led by Megan Sorber and her incredible team. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I can't thank you enough for being a part of the show, and I appreciate you so very much for being here where sports truly meets that thing called life. I want to thank my incredible guest, Dave Paziak, as well as Ryan LeBlanc, and I want to thank Avicolli's for their wonderful team and bringing us the ingredients to success every single Tuesday to round out the show. We're up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt, as well as wakeupcalldt.mixlr.com. So wherever you're tuning in from, we appreciate you all for being with us, and thank you for making me a part of your morning. And for those of you that watch us on playback, thank you for making us a part of your afternoon or evening or morning tomorrow. I appreciate it all. Many thanks to Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. We look forward to spending some time with you there. You can subscribe and follow for free and download the show, so make sure you do that. And thank you to all that have. Many thanks to our wonderful partners you've heard throughout the broadcast here in Central and Upstate New York: Great Lakes Honda City, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Ma and Pa's, the snack capital of the world, Myers Creek, the Baked Potato Express. That food truck has my Wake Up Call breakfast potato available at any event that they go out to. So make sure when you see the Baked Potato Express to ask for the Wake Up Call breakfast potato, bacon, egg, and cheese on top of their potato with the sprinkling of maple syrup. Big time shout out to Pizza Man, Chick-fil-A, Cicero, Skippy's Ice Cream, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Game Point Sports Complex, Gray's Craze of Clay, New York. Get your dad something from Gray's Craze. I did something for my dad. He absolutely loved it. And his recommendation is that you head out there, and that's coming from Pop. So don't get him a tie this year. Don't get him another shirt. Go out to Gray's Craze of Clay, New York, and get him the incredible combination of their meats, cheeses, their fruit, their desserts. They have a premium meat and cheese board made especially for Father's Day, and you can go and get that on 4599 New York State Route 31, Suite 5 in Clay, New York today. Many thanks to Brian's Landing, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Avicolli's, as well as Game Point Sports Complex, Chick-fil-A and DeWitt, Willow Rock Pizza Pub, and the Willow Rock Brewing Company, and of course, Mother's Cupboard. Make sure you head there 7 days a week to Mother's Cupboard, like I did last week, to get the Cuse Mac Mother, my breakfast sandwich creation, available every day of the week at Mother's Cupboard, exclusively on 3709 James Street in Syracuse, New York, from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. daily. Bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Pick it up and eat it like a sandwich. Cut it up and have it with some syrup. And make sure you go over to Mother's Cupboard and support local today. Of course, we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Binghamton University Bearcats. Find the Bearcats every Tuesday, like today, during Bearcat time. You will find the Binghamton University Bearcats hanging out here with you where sports meets life. The Bearcats are with us with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni gracing the stage of Wake Up Call every week, Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And of course, you could find it all by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell. Find the Binghamton playlist. The Bearcats are also on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to binghamtonbearcats.com. And of course, as always, go Bearcats. One more time, I should say, many thanks to Dave Paziak for our conversation on the Knicks and the NBA, coming off of the Knicks' third title historically and first in 53 years. Many thanks to Ryan LeBlanc in this edition of the Bearcat Breakroom, and speaking on the expansion and the success, as well as the quality of student-athlete at Binghamton University. I thank Ryan LeBlanc, the head coach of the wrestling team, and many thanks to Avicolli's for the ingredients to success and the reminder that it's okay to rest. Thank you to Ma and Pa's for being the snack capital of the world. Go visit them on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York today. And from the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, I will say you'll find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, and Instagram at wakeupcall_DT. And as always, God bless, no stress, do your best. We're setting the table as we do all throughout the World Cup, brought to you by Gray's Craze of Clay, New York. Check out that video on our social media coming up in just a moment. And I hope you have a beautiful day. Be kind to yourself and be kind to others, and never apologize for going after what you want and staying true to who you are.